You're gonna see some serious shit.
It is the future. The year 2015. Okay, it's not as cool as we were promised, but it's not that different really. Instead of Jaws 19, we get Terminator Genysis. It's the same thing really. We need to make a future for ourselves. A future where film lovers make film podcasts about why they love film. Where we stay positive no matter what the next batshit crazy Fantastic Four reboot rumor is. Come on guys, Star Wars and Mad Max are coming back, Brad Bird's got another movie out, Pixar have too. Stick with us folks and you'll always see the bright side of movies. Don't mind the title, it's just ironic. Welcome to Movie Moan 2015! Good evening everybody and welcome to the summer 2015 box office prediction spectacular. It's the battle I've been waiting years for. We do one of these shows every year, but this summer I think a lot of the films that we've been hearing about and waiting years for, they're all converging at once. We're getting Avengers 2, we're finally getting Jurassic Park 4, we finally get Brad Bird's Tomorrowland, we finally get Mad Max Fury Road. They filmed it about 3 years ago. They're trying another Terminator and I have to resign myself to the fact that that movie is not a practical joke, at least not on me. And they're all coming at once though in one summer. Thank God we're not getting Batman v Superman or Star Wars. There's no room for them. Even without them, we have a list tonight of 16 of summer 2015's biggest box office contenders, and our job is to predict just how much money they're going to make. Whoever gets the most accurate predictions out of the four of us wins. Did I say the four of us? Well, let's introduce the competitors. My name is Phil G. In the 7 years I've been doing this show, I still haven't learned how to play the game properly. That's me. Also joining me, though, is Experience, the guy who knows what he's doing, my co-host. I'm going to warn you right now, he is going to screw up on Avengers really badly, even if he doesn't know it yet. But he gets far more right than he gets wrong. Mr. Jamie Williams, hello, sir.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good.
Next.
Woke up.
I wasn't going to tell him that, and you're like, ah, fuck it. He has.
That's okay.
He was pulling a late shift last night, folks, but he's here. He's here for you, as he always is. That's commitment. Next up, writer and editor for BoxOffice.com, the authority, the knowledge, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Shawn Robbins.
Hello, gentlemen.
Ready to do battle? How are you feeling? Confident?
We talked about before, I'm trying not to, because I'm hoping that'll work in my favor, but yeah, I'm really not. legitimately, I'm not.
So you're pretending not to be confident, but you're
You're
not.
inside your head. I'm not going to tell you how confident I am or am not.
I love it. It is a real
I sent some
poke.
texts to Shawn about certain movies, and he's like, "Oh, you wait."
And finally, the box office expert for comingsoon.net, codenamed the Weekend Warrior. It's Mr. Edward Douglas. Hello, sir.
Hey, fellow, how you doing, guys? What's up?
And our final guest, not to be too cheesy about it, is you, the listener, because this is the show where you get to take part too. We invite you to join us tonight on all our box office predictions, because we won't just be picking a winner amongst ourselves. Whoever gets the most accurate number of predictions among you guys will be proudly declared the web winner during the results show in September. All you've got to do is go to the Movie Moan podcast page on thinkmcflythink.com and leave your predictions in the comments section of this episode. Please don't leave them on YouTube or SoundCloud because they won't count. Please go to thinkmcflythink.com. I'm not trying to plug the website. I just need all the predictions laid out very nicely in a one page for me. And also, when you lay out those predictions, just copy the list of movies exactly as it appears in the show description and put your number next to each one. That'd be great. So, very, very briefly, because we're all just itching to get to it, here are the rules, folks. Number 1, we are predicting specifically on the final US domestic total that each film will make up to the cut-off date of September 1st. That shouldn't affect our predictions too much anyway. Our last film opens the first week of August, and not to show my hand, probably won't be playing in September, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. Number 2, the four of us here are not allowed to enter the same prediction bid. We have to be at least $5 million apart from each other. That rule is just for us, folks. You can put whatever you want. And number 3, you don't just have to enter a box office prediction bid on one of these movies. If you want to risk it all and go for big money, you may decide that one of the films we're talking about isn't going to come out this summer. Last summer we spent like 50 minutes predicting Jupiter Ascending, only for the studio to yank it completely. I think it was just a month before it was supposed to come out, something like that. You've always got to bear in mind that could happen again. Who knows? It'd be nice if they yanked Terminator.
And then 2 years before that, they yanked G.I. Joe 4 weeks before it was supposed to open.
I was so high on that movie. I was so high on that, and it was a shame. Then again, they did release it. I mean, if you want to predict, instead of a number, that one of the summer movies will move release dates, you can do that. And if you turn out to be right, you will get 2 points. 2 points instead of 1 for sheer clairvoyancy. Apart from that, best of luck. Let's get to it. So, we start with a fairly low-key entry. Just a small and simple picture, as a warm-up, something to ease us into the game. May 1st brings us Marvel's Avengers, Age of Ultron. Your move, Douglas.
Well, I mean, the thing about Age of Ultron is that it's basically a sequel to a movie that's set the opening weekend record, which nothing has come close to even beating it, and that was like, I think, $205 million or something. And I guess the real question is whether or not this one's going to open bigger than the biggest opening weekend ever. It's definitely going to be more front-loaded because more people will see it, but I don't know. 205 is a huge number. Nothing's even come close to it, and I don't know if it's even possible for a movie to beat that number. But I don't know. I think it's hard. I think it'll come close to that number, but I'm kind of a little. I think it'll be a lot more opening weekend and less as it goes along, just because I think in the time since the first Avengers movie, I think people have started I think Captain America was good, but like Iron Man and Thor movies have had mixed reactions, and I think it's not as novel as it was when the first Avengers movie opened 3 years ago. But I think it's still going to do well. You just need like a for so I'd say that it's probably going to open close to 200 million or just above it, but not like 230 million or something crazy like that. So I think it'll end up maybe just under 500 million total, because I think it'll be more front loaded and it won't be as novel. And I think it'll end up like I'm gonna go 492 on that.
Shawn.
I'm along a similar line of thinking. I actually do think it'll beat the record again just a little bit, because I think it feels like this is the peak of the Marvel brand to me, regardless of how the movie turns out. I do agree it'll definitely be a lot more front loaded, but I just feel like even though with Iron Man and Thor coming up short for a lot of people, Captain America and Guardians did a lot to kind of rebound. Even though I'm sure most people will know the Guardians aren't going to be in this, but I think if you look at just regular Joes that don't follow the stuff every day like we do, they're just going to see that Marvel name and the Avengers name, and they're going to remember how much they loved that first movie. So I think opening, will probably land around 215. I think it can beat that record, but I'm thinking similarly front loaded. It really just comes down to how good we think it's going to be. I really have mixed feelings on that, because the trailers I've tried to avoid, but I have seen them once or twice here and there. So I don't know. My feeling is really around like 525. Like I think it definitely it's 500 again, but I wouldn't rule out it not getting there. It just seems like it's going to open big enough that momentum will carry it that far. Plus, the competition I just don't really think is quite there in May, whereas it was for something like Iron Man 3, having to face several big movies.
Jamie.
It's funny because I've had conversations with Ed and Shawn about this, and I agree it's going to do under $500 million, because not only is the novelty gone of like, hey, look, let's have superheroes from all these other movies in one movie, but they're not. Okay, so the Hook is the bad guy, right? I got to be honest, they're selling this kind of as badly as they sold John Harrison in Star Trek Into Darkness. You're just like, all right, so what makes this guy interesting? Where's the threat? And I have yet to feel it from these trailers. I'm going to be honest with you. And that last trailer was like, isn't it so cool? I'm like, well, I mean, it's standard superhero action stuff, and if you're into that, that's fine. But, oh, look, dude, there's like shots of them fighting robots. Yeah, like the first one? I don't see it. I really don't. It's funny, I was going to predict 495, but Mr. Douglas is 492, so I will peg it down to 485. I mean, it's still going to be huge, but I think a lot of the novelty's gone, man. And I get the vibe even Marvel's treating this as an afterthought, because what's all that you talk about? It's not about this movie, it's about Civil War next year. That's all they're talking about. This whole thing, there's not even a build-up to this one. Like, used to they do the build-up, like little references to Ultron, or like to the Avengers that was coming. Like, this is just like it feels like a Avengers 2 contractual obligation.
I think what you have to bear in mind is that Marvel can be quite reactionary when it comes to how well the movies do. Like, I think the success of Winter Soldier kind of caught them off guard a little bit, and so that's why they're all kind of high on Captain America right now, and they're saying, hey, Captain America's in this movie, there he is right there, and Captain America's in another movie next year and stuff, but I think they're marketing it great. I mean, I've screen capped every friggin' shot of every trailer and every TV spot in preparation for this show, and also for the review show that's going to be in a couple of weeks. And it does seem like they're showing a lot, but I do have a good feeling inside that they're not showing a lot as well. And I really feel like there's going to be some really, really great memorable sequences here. Not the action stuff, but I think it's really, really. I mean, we can all tell right now, if you're a geek and you're following along, that Scarlet Witch is basically able to bewitch the heroes and actually project, their worst fears and stuff. And that's why there's that curious shot of the ballerinas and stuff. We're actually going to get to see Black Widow's past, and that looks like that's going to be a really interesting scene. And they're going to take Thor back to Asgard, and we know Peggy Carter's coming back. If you read the cast list on the poster and all this kind of stuff, and they're still adding cast members like Julie Delphi and shit. You just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we have a fair idea how it's going to end, but we haven't seen it. So I feel very, very confident about the quality of the movie. I haven't got a clue how it's going to do. I haven't got a clue. I don't think there's a single person in the world fully qualified to estimate the top on the sequel to one of the biggest films of all time domestically. It's really like trying to predict on Empire Strikes Back in 1980 before it came out. How do you do it? Well, I decided to attack the ultimate geek property with simple, probably ridiculous, geek mathematics. What I did was I looked back at the difference in gross between the original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and I found out that on initial release, Empire made 68% of what Star Wars grossed. And I do feel, lazy as it sounds, that in terms of the kind of film it's going to be, braver, more mature, won't end on a high like the first one, you could probably compare Age of Ultron to Empire and the impact that it's going to have when you leave it and whether you want to see it multiple times. But you can't really fully compare a film that was released in the 70s or 80s to the 4,000 plus theatre inflated 3D prices releases that modern blockbusters get. So what I also did was I looked at the difference in gross between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, which I think is the only real suitable comparison when it comes to an anticipated sequel that has this much appeal to a broad audience. And The Dark Knight Rises made 84% of what The Dark Knight made, bearing in mind, obviously, the unique circumstances that came with the release of that movie. So I just averaged the two. I came up with 77%, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to say Avengers Age of Ultron makes 77% of what Avengers did, which amazingly gives me the lowest bid, $479 million. That's what I'm going with. You didn't see that coming, did you? I'm lowballing you. Edward?
Yeah, I think I want to get back to the quality of the marketing for the movie and, you know, what they've shown versus expectations. Because I think, like I said, the first movie was very much novelty. This movie, they seem to have a stronger villain in some ways, although it doesn't really seem... I don't know. I like Ultron a lot, actually, in the comics, and I've not been that impressed with what I've seen. I like the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and they've barely been in the marketing. And then the Vision, who I also love, they haven't shown him at all. And I feel like... I don't know. I feel like they're kind of just saying, okay, here are the Avengers. We know you'll go see it, so... You know, we're not going to tell you too much about it, and it might actually might backfire. It might actually, you know, be the case where
that's never good enough. That kind of mindset. You have to give people a reason.
Yeah, exactly. I feel so too. I feel like. I mean, especially anyone who is unhappy with, you know, any of the previous movies, and you know, since the last Avengers, if they think that their movies are getting worse, they're not going to just go. You know, they'll go see it, but I mean, maybe they won't, you know, rush out to see it. Maybe they won't, you know. I mean, I don't know. I as a longtime Avengers fan and of the movies, and as someone who visited the set, actually, I've been kind of like not that. I mean, I'm actually going to see the movie probably within the next week. And, yeah, I know, exactly. And I'm not like just chomping at the bit about, oh my god, I can't wait. You know, it's like I'm just going to see it and, you know, I'll see how it goes. But that's, you know, I think if you get too excited about something that doesn't look exciting, you're just going to be even more disappointed. And I tend to be very easy on certain things, like, you know, Spider-Man movies. I mean, you guys are much tougher on these movies if you don't like them than I am, and I'm kind of a little worried. I don't know.
Sean?
I mean, I think my line of thinking is pretty similar to you guys. I really have pretty low expectations based on what I've seen. Not low, but definitely reserved. I just think the masses out there aren't going to be as scrutinizing about it as we are. And it's kind of funny, Phil, you mentioned the mathematical comparison there. I actually did something similar. I had Dark Knight Rises, but I also looked at the first two Spider-Man movies because I feel like those are about maybe a little closer, at least as close, just because it's a Marvel character and it's a similar appeal.
But they also open the Spider-Man's open on different weekends.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say that does count for something.
Avengers has a very direct same weekend kind of thing going on. So,
right.
Like
but even then, Spider-Man 2 opened up in the middle of summer with more, arguably anyway, a little bit more competition than the first one did. Avengers has virtually no competition. I mean, Furious will be in its fifth weekend by then, so...
Right.
But now, I mean, at the same time, Spider-Man 2 only dropped about 8%, so that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. I don't think Avengers will hold
Well,
that.
I mean, frankly, again, to go back to Ed's point, they sold Spider-Man 2 a lot better. I mean, boy, did they sell Doc Ock.
Regardless of how it turns out, I think there's too much brand appeal for it not to still be pretty big, even if it disappoints. And I don't know, we'll see. But I don't think they have to market Ultron himself as hard as you would in most other movies, because for 95% of the people, the appeal is in all of these characters coming together. Or at least it was last time, and that's what Disney's betting on being the case again. And I think they'll be right for the most part, but we'll see.
Indeed, we will. Does anyone else have opening weekend predictions before we move on? I'm curious. Not everybody's answered that question. Is it going to break it, or is it?
Yeah.
Referring to me, I have no idea. I think I don't think so. I think it'll be close.
I think it'll be very close. I think it'll be
close, but I'm
within
thinking
5 million either way. I'd say.
I think it'll be close, but I don't think so. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe it will.
I think.
But again, I mean,
but
the thing, it's like it goes back. You think it's like where you say like the excitement, like yeah, but like you don't feel excited. You were excited when the first one came out.
I was totally excited.
It's just like where's that excitement coming from? Like I don't feel it.
Yeah, I think it's too, and it's also, I mean, I don't know. I feel like in general we're just like more jaded than we were 2 years ago. So, at least I am anyway. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you've certainly felt the excitement about Furious 7. I mean, look at how huge that's opening. You kind of, and I mean, to be fair, I mean, we're recording this on a Saturday morning. The current expectations are it's going to do like 150 plus. I didn't think it'd do that much. I had it at 133 or 135. So it's like it blew past my expectations. I mean, shit.
But what you have to understand, though, is, and I keep coming back to this again and again and again, can't speak for anyone else in this regard, but what gets me excited, what got me excited about Furious 7, and what will get me excited about this movie and dying to see it, is reviews. Furious 7 was getting great reviews, and then a week ago I heard the song for the first time that plays during the end of the movie, and that's when it clicked to me, holy shit. It really is going to be that big, isn't it? We're all going to see it, and it is. And if Avengers, I don't know if what Ed says is true, I guess the reviews will hit in about a week, I suppose.
No, we won't be able to review for, like, I don't know when it opens to UK, but I hope we're going to be able to review before that. I was assuming we were going to.
Well, it opens April 23rd in the UK. I think it opens and that's a Thursday. I think it opens technically on the Tuesday for all these Marvel marathons, and there'll be the premiere like a week before that, I guess. So the reviews will be out very soon, I would have thought.
I would hope if I see it on the 9th or 10th. I'm hoping to let us review it by the following Friday. So we'll see.
But see, why wouldn't? But the first one, they instantly let reviews out. That's always the sign. It's like if they're just like right.
I know, but they're worried about spoilers. They're worried about if there are surprises in it. They're worried.
Yeah, but
the
thing is, like, they know the professionals are gonna not do that. Like they know you're not gonna do that. They know,
No, if you let the embargo go, you basically just saying say what you want, and that's what's gonna happen.
Oh, okay.
So, nothing would dare open a week after Avengers 2, so now we jump 2 weeks ahead to the May 15th release of Mad Max Fury Road. Good luck, Shawn. Good luck.
I'm going to go with 90 million.
Interesting.
I think it looks great. I think it'll pull a little bit more than the fanboy audience, but I'm still really worried that 99% of the hype is coming from the same people and I was myself one of them that kept hyping up Looper and those kinds of movies which not that it did badly, but I mean, it did great for what it was, especially on its budget. But I mean, Mad Max is just it almost feels niche-y, but I do see the potential for it to break out. And the fact that it really is, if it can pull the adult audience, which I think it has a pretty good chance to on some level, because then there's really not much facing it after that until June. So yeah, I mean, and I've seen the original Mad Max, but it was such a long time ago. I don't have much to comment on with the franchise as a whole. But from the perspective of seeing this as its own thing, I definitely see the potential there, but I'm pretty cautious about it. I could see it falling below 90. I could see it hitting, maybe 120, 130 at best. But I'm sticking with 90.
Sorry, I chuckled there. Not to show my hand, but I can't. Jamie?
I shouldn't say at best. I know I'm probably going to regret that. But
my thing, I just think that I don't know. I definitely am with Shawn on the niche argument, but I think the trailers have been so phenomenal to to make you think like, okay,
really?
I have got to see this. And I don't know. I'm going off of what a friend of ours said who has seen the movie. Our friend Matt Thompson. He has seen the movie. He saw the movie almost a year ago, and it was probably, I think, 85% complete. And he made the comment that the movie is like maybe 90% a chase movie. And in fact, we were talking about it, and his prediction's kind of more in line with mine. I think it's going to be very front-loaded. And then once people see it, they're just going to it's going to filter out because it's going to be such an exhausting movie. But it's going to be such a big opening. Like, I could see it opening as high as like 70.
Jesus Christ!
It looks
serious?
so. I'm taking a playbook from you, given the crazy prediction. I get one crazy prediction. That's my crazy prediction. I could see it open huge, really big, because it looks so damn unique. And yeah, action packed. And my total prediction's 140. I think it's going to be so fucking crazy front loaded, and people are going to be so exhausted watching it that maybe 50 Shades of Grey could be the best comparison. Yeah, 300. Yes, that's a good comparison, Shawn. But yeah, I think so. I think it's unique looking enough. And yeah, I was the same way for years. I was like, they'll never make it. Mad Max is of the 80s. It's associated with Mel Gibson, and they're doing a sequel. Same continuity. Now they're getting Tom Hardy, who Tom Hardy is not a marquee name. They kind of tried. I mean, he's most famous for Bane, where his face is covered. And we still do impressions of Bane to this day. And yet, people don't know who Tom Hardy is. So they know Charlize Theron. I don't know. I just think the trailers have done a really great job. I'm really going off the strength of the trailers and what a friend of mine has said who saw it. So I'm crazy as it is. I'm going to say 140.
Wasn't expecting that, sir, but well done. You've blindsided me.
What did you think I was going to go lower?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I know you're high on it. I'm high on it too, but you're usually able to detach yourself from that and say, okay, seriously, realistically.
I think it has a uniqueness looking to it. I think that's just the thing, like seeing that trailer with an audience, people are going, what the fuck is that? I think that's what it is this time around.
I haven't seen the trailer play with anything. That might have something to do with it. I have no idea what the public's going to think of it myself, but I will say that it's definitely the internet anticipation,
big time,
emancipation, ejaculation candidate for the
I think
summer.
that's another movie this summer, which I'll get to later.
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean, for me, if the web represented the general public, this would be the unstoppable monster, because of amazing as it looks, I just don't know if the general public cares to see it, to be honest with you. I think it has a chance of a decent opening, I agree that much, because it genuinely looks impressive, it looks like a spectacle, it's in 3D, I can't remember if it's in IMAX, but it definitely looks like a big...
I think it is.
I think so. It definitely looks like a big 3D ride, and people will be in the mood for that after having seen Avengers, and if you've seen Avengers 5 times, at that point you'll want to see something else. So
well,
we'll
get if Avengers disappoints, people are going to turn to something else quickly.
Now, yeah, I thought about Matt's reaction to it too, but to me, what I took away from what Matt said is that this is going to be a George Miller film through and through. Gorgeous, unique, demented, completely alienating to anyone who's not already plugged in for that sort of thing, who's not ready for it. I saw the latest trailer, and there's a lot of that, when Max is tripping out and seeing visions of, his dead wife and stuff, and it's like that typical really, wide angle lens thing where the face is right in front of the camera and stuff. It's that kind of movie. Or you've got Nicholas Hoult as that weird looking character, in an Australian accent. Oh, what lovely weather! It's that kind of thing where a lot of people are just going to be like, what the fuck? I mean, it's going to open, it'll drop like a stone. And
Yeah,
I think Warner Brothers knows that too. They just needed to release the damn thing at this point. Like Jamie said, it's finished. It's been finished for ages.
They were shooting this thing when Hardy was pimping The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. That's 3 years ago, kids.
It's crazy. But we're glad to see it. But honestly, I'm going to say 70. I just don't think it's got a chance, especially with the competition that's coming out the week after. It's going to be 70, and it's going to be lucky to get that. But I'm sure we're all going to have a lovely time reviewing it and talking about it. Edward?
It's funny. I have a soft spot for the original two movies. Third movie I won't even talk about, but the first two movies I loved. But it was also a long time ago, those movies, and I feel like you're going to have the people who are nostalgic for it, who may or may not like this one. But I think also they're kind of marketing for new people, so hopefully, I think there's going to be an audience of like younger people, like the teenagers, and I'm not sure if this is R-rated or PG-13. I'm assuming they're going PG-13 on it.
I think it's R. It's R.
It's R?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, that might make it a little bit more difficult, but I think it's going to have an audience of at least like teenagers and 20-somethings. It'll only be guys. We'll go see it. And I think there's enough time has passed where it's kind of going to. It's kind of like Godzilla, where it's kind of enough time has passed where people want to see it. And I feel like Godzilla comparisons is very, very good for the reasons you guys mentioned. But I have a feeling it's going to open higher than people expect. Those will probably still drop off. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I think they're marketing it very similar. And I think 2 weeks after Avengers is already, people are going to be looking for something else to go see. And there won't be much really until Jurassic World in mid-June. So I'm going to say 151. So I'll be the highest guy on this one, I guess. And I think it's going to open like in the 60s, maybe mid-60s, and then drop off. But it's still going to get business over Memorial Day weekend. Because it's not really competing that much with what's coming out that weekend. But yeah, we'll see. I think 151 is a pretty fair amount for that for a summer movie.
That'd be an amazing result. I mean, I think we'd all be happy.
Well, compared to 70 million, sure, because I think 70 million is very. I think it'll come close to 70 million opening weekend. So.
Well, heck, there's always the foreign vote too. I have no idea how it's going to do internationally. I'd like to say wonderful because we're all so continental,
Hard to say.
And we love our weird, kooky movies. So maybe we'll do wonderfully over here. But who the heck knows? Shawn.
Never mind. You said what I was about to say is the foreign potential. I think it'll do a lot better overseas.
In Japan, you do wonder about, I can't speak for the Japanese market, but we're always talking about it, and the Chinese market as well. And you wonder how a film like that's going to play over there, especially.
Well, I think it's going to be huge, actually. I think that's the kind of movie that they're, that they like, that kind of futuristic, crazy, crazy characters.
Little dialogue, high action.
Yeah, I think it'll do really well. I think it'll do really well in Australia as well. I think it's going to, unfortunately, I think because we don't really, we don't really include that in there. But I mean, it could probably hit like 500, 600 million, globally, I would say. I think it's pretty, fair.
Worldwide, that's fantastic. If it hits that much.
Well, I don't know how much it costs, but I think it would be, decent. The thing is, sorry, I didn't do my one thing, but here's what's interesting is that Warner Brothers could have put it out the second weekend of May, which is what they've done a lot, and it's always backfired on them. And they actually put it on the third weekend of May, which has been pretty decent results as far as that's when the Star Wars movies opened and other things. So I think they're just trying to get far enough away from Avengers and still try to get a little bump before Memorial Day weekend. But I think it'll I don't know. I think it'll be at least has some space to make money. So.
Well, we should stop talking like Mad Max has May 15th all to itself. It doesn't. No. May 15th also brings us the counter-programming for May. We always get a slick comedy in that month. Last year it was Neighbours, or Bad Neighbours. This year it's Pitch Perfect 2. Over to you, Jamie.
I didn't see the first one, so I think it did about like 60, 70 million. Is that about right? I mean, it did solid, considering what it was. It seemed to have grown an audience. I'm pretty sure, although I don't have the figures in front of me, it probably made a lot of money for Universal in home video and online streaming. Video
I do have the numbers if you'd like to know.
Sure.
It made 65 domestically. It cost 17.
Yeah, it didn't cost much. And then again, like I don't think we have the figures, but home video profits, video on demand streaming profits, I'm sure those were pretty big also. Pure guess on that one. I don't know. I'm always a big stickler for the alternative, the counter programming argument, because how often does it really work? I don't feel like it really does that well, and it's weird because I think by itself this movie probably could be a big hit if it wasn't facing against repeat business of Avengers 2, which, as I've stated, I think we made our peace with that discussion. And then there's Mad Max 4, what we think that's going to do. But I think there'll be an increase just by sheer virtue of it's a sequel. The first one was well liked. It has a core audience, and I'm actually going to go a little high on this and say 90 million. I mean, I saw the trailers, and I sat there going, well, I didn't see the first one, so I'm like, I guess it looks okay. I mean, the audience is probably going to really like this, and not knocking them. I'm not one of them.
I just got to call it like I say it. I think this looks rubbish. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look interesting. I think that's the word. It doesn't look interesting at all. It just doesn't look very funny. I mean, it's a Battle of the Bands kind of movie. Please, I could see Sister Act 2. I could see that instead of this. And it looks so cynically put together. You notice how Rebel Wilson is in practically every shot of the trailer. So I guess what they're trying to tell me is you like this character in the first one, even if you haven't seen them. She's important. It's her movie, really. It seems to be. I mean, I think it'll do all right. And actually a bit higher than Jamie. I just don't expect a phenomenon here either, because I just think it's going to be a lame film. And I think the fans are going to come out feeling, that wasn't as good as the first. So I've got it as 125 mil. Big increase. I mean, that's double. That's double the gross of the first one. But I don't see it being some. Yeah, I don't see it being The Spy Who Shagged Me, certainly. And I don't see a Pitch Perfect 3 either. I don't see a phenomenon here. Edward?
Yeah, see, I kind of... See, this is the thing. The first movie opened in limited release. Universal weren't sure if it would be a hit. I think they knew that it might be interesting, but they really gave it a very limited release the first weekend, and then expanded it. It was kind of like the Bridget Jones thing, where they did the same thing with Bridget Jones, where they went to like a moderate, and then they expanded wide the second weekend. But I mean, word of mouth between the two was pretty amazing. And even though it only made 64 million domestic, there are people who watch it over and over again. I mean, once the DVD came out, it's not just about like just having the DVD, but actually watching it over and over and over again. And I know a lot of women who were like, who are karaoke fiends, and they loved that aspect of it. They loved Glee, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, they did a some kind of live performance with the cast of Pitch Perfect, like in L.A., and it like sold out like instantly. And I think it's like kind of like, I mean, I want to compare it to Sex and the City, but the thing is with Sex and the City, the sequel did not do even nearly as well. But I think this one has enough hype built from people who have seen the first movie since it came out that it'll open bigger. And I think I could see it opening like 30 million or so opening weekend against Mad Max. And I think it'll hold steady. I mean, there's been a lot of movies specifically for women for a while actually, and it's kind of doing the Bridesmaids things, to be honest. It's kind of coming out, taking that kind of mid-May, and Neighbors too. So I'm gonna go 95 million, which is just 5 million above Jamie's, but I think it'll do a little bit better than that, but not as well as Phil predicted.
Shawn?
I'm pretty similar to you, Phil. I actually have it opening close to 40 in first place. I mean, I think that's going to be the movie that weekend, just because,
I agree.
Like Jamie pointed out, it is counter-programming, and there's really not much else. I mean, let's just point out it is mostly women that are probably going to be going to see it. Not that guys don't see it. I liked the first movie quite a bit, so I'm not narrowing it down that far, but it's going to be that movie for them. Maybe not on the level that Bridesmaids was a few years ago, but I'm pretty confident in it. I think it'll open close to 40, and I was gonna say 120, so I'm gonna have to outbid you, Phil. I'm gonna say 130. I think it's just, and I don't think it'll hold on as well I could see it opening even higher than 40 and then just not having great legs. But it also has Memorial Day in its second weekend, and nothing is aiming for that audience when it comes out until probably, I think, the first weekend of June. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident. I'm gonna go with 130.
You can play dirty pool, Shawn. Just don't pretend like it's a hard thing. Like, I feel guilty about doing this to your film. No, you don't. You're playing. It's poker. It's a game. It's dirty. We all hate each other for the 3 hours we do this. It's fine, Edward.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, first of all, just commenting on Shawn saying there's no competition. I think Tomorrowland is going to play as well for women as it is men. I mean, it's besides having George Clooney, it has a teen girl in it. I think they're pitching. I think they're trying to get it out to women as much. And
that is a good point. Yeah.
I think it's not. That is Pitch Perfect second weekend, but I think Universal has a good movie on their hands with Pitch Perfect too. I thought the first movie was kind of whatever. But I think it might be one of those better sequels than the original because they're showing it at CinemaCon in just 3 weeks, and so even if they don't allow reviews, the word's going to be out there, and theater owners are going to see it, and if they like it, they're going to be pushing it heavily at their theaters, and it's just like Neighbors, just like other movies that have played at CinemaCon. If it plays well at CinemaCon, it'll do well. But I'm still not as bullish or bearish, whichever the one is going upwards. But I'm still not as sold that it will do like over 100 million, because I do think that it does have some competition, and it'll be I think a lot of people who loved it will go opening weekend, just like with Sex and the City.
So, May 22nd finally gives me, because I take this very personally, Brad Bird's Tomorrowland, which is my most anticipated film of the summer. I've been talking about this with Ed, never mind with Jamie, for years. I remember the old shows where we talked about this when, Lindelof and Bird just came out on stage with a suitcase and wouldn't tell us anything. Do you remember those happy days? Yeah. Well, the domestic trailers really haven't focused too much on the spectacle and the world whatsoever. They really are holding back on that. What they have focused on is exactly what Ed's been talking about. George Clooney and, I think even from the trailer, this utterly compelling actress named Britt Robertson, who I haven't seen her in anything else, but she holds my attention just in that trailer. That bit where she first touches the pin and then she jumps, it kills me every time. It's so brilliantly performed. And then, I don't know if everyone's seen it, but there was that Japanese trailer, which opens with what I assume is the child George Clooney going on It's a Small World in Disneyland in the 50s or the 60s. Sign me up! For the Disney park nostalgia alone, I am all in for this thing. I'm really high on Tomorrowland, but it all stems from total and utter faith in Brad Bird as a filmmaker. We were having a discussion on the last episode of the podcast about filmmakers who have that rarest of gifts being completely in sync with what the public wants from motion pictures and thus making incredibly successful ones. And we mentioned James Cameron, we mentioned Christopher Nolan, and I think Brad Bird is well on his way to being mentioned in the same company. He makes crowd-pleasing films, and I attribute Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol's success to him. And a couple of other things, but mainly to the way he made that movie. He just needs a few more successes under his belt, and I think this is going to be one of them. And I think the best thing about Bird is that he's not the kind of guy, if this is a success, who's going to get pinched to do a Star Wars film and spend time in someone else's universe. He's done that. He made Mission so he could make this, and if this is successful, he's going to make another original standalone film, and come on, we all want that. So I'm going to say 208 million. I think it's going to be wonderful. I think the public's going to agree with me. Ed?
Yeah, it's funny. It's an interesting movie because I feel like I totally agree with what you said, Phil. I mean, I think it's going to be a good movie and people are going to like it. If it could do a lot of business then if reviews are positive, and I think it's playing Cannes if I'm not wrong, which is a week or two before. Which would mean reviews will be out there. If it gets good reviews, it might do really well opening weekend, and it'll probably. I mean, Disney are great. Disney are great at marketing things. I was not that. I mean, it was hard for me to really tell. I liked what I saw back in October when they showed like a scene from it. And they showed the trailer. I'm not really sure if I'm getting into it more and more as it gets closer or not. Because now we have other characters we've been seeing in the Japanese trailer. But so I'm a little tentative on that one. I don't know. I feel like I want to go like in the 200 million range also, but I'm a little nervous that, you know, it might not be for everyone. That it might be more for, you know, Disney might be very different than we expect, and it might be more of like a Disney type thing. But one name you didn't mention, Phil, was Steven Spielberg, and that's who it reminds me of. It reminds me of Steven Spielberg, and I'm not sure if Steven Spielberg could even do what he used to do. I think you know, J.J. Abrams tried it with was it Super 8? Was that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think he tried doing that kind of Spielberg thing with that, and this looks like it's similar. And it's hard. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell because you know, it's based on a section of Disney World. You know, the more I see it's not getting me more excited than what I've already seen. So I'm going to go lower. I'm going to go 165 on it, which would still be I think a pretty decent showing for it. But I don't know. It's hard for me to see it doing you know, huge business. But again, you know, I didn't see Maleficent doing that well last year either, and it is Disney. So, but I'm going to say 165 million. It'll probably do like, you know, 55 to 60 over Memorial Day weekend, and then hold steady, you know, the following week.
Sean,
I like the Super 8 comparison. That's kind of what that's basing my prediction off of a lot, because I'm with you guys. It has my curiosity, and I think Bird can really do something with this kind of a movie, but I'm just not completely sold. And maybe that's because, like we were talking in the chat window, like I was burned badly on Super 8. Mm-hmm. But I think that was partly because I was really looking forward to that as a fan of Spielberg movies and as a fan of Abrams. And I'm a huge fan of what Bird's doing. I feel like this is going to open conservatively, have pretty good word of mouth, and just be a slow burn through June and maybe early July if it's really good. I mean, yeah, other than that, I really don't have. I like the fact that, like you guys were talking about, I think Britt Robertson, she's got a lot of potential, and she seems like the kind of actress that can pull that character off and make her relatable for not just girls or teenagers, but for everybody. So there's a lot of potential there. I'm pretty cautious on it, so I'm gonna go 130.
I'd just like to mention, just before Jamie comes in, it's also got Hugh fucking Laurie, and it seems like he's dressed in Eddie Redmayne's wardrobe from Jupiter Ascending.
A clean-shaven Hugh Laurie.
He's the older version. He's the older version of Eddie Redmayne's character. That's why
he couldn't do that. Would be so weird, seeing an actor like Hugh Laurie try and do that campy wispy thing. I just don't. It'd be wonderful.
You never saw Blackadder?
No, I did. Of course I did. I
Okay.
live for Blackadder, but it's not like I will harvest a million planets. It doesn't do that. It's just like rah! He's a roarer. Anyway, Jamie.
I was waiting for you to just like, what's he sound like, Phil?
That was an amazing impression.
Yeah, the Super 8 comparison is actually, not to three-peat what everyone else said, but the moment someone said Super 8, I was like, of course. It's funny because that's the one movie that's been the hardest for me to predict. I didn't put a number down for it, and I didn't know. It was literally like, I'm going to wait to hear what everyone else says. It also is the movie I feel I alluded to earlier about, like, this is the movie that I think the internet's going to overblow, and the public's going to shrug. Because I really look at it and I go, what are you selling? And I agree with everything you just said. Like, what I've seen looks phenomenal. I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be great. But I got to put that general public shades on, and I go, what are you selling? And the Japanese trailer most people haven't seen. So you're going off this mystery. And I'm like, okay, so what? You're still going, okay, so what's the selling point? Like, why am I supposed to care? What is Tomorrowland? What's so great about it? What's the threat of, like, who's the bad guy? They're not selling any of that. And for a movie like this, yeah, there needs to be some mystery, obviously, but this is taking a cue from the J.J. Abrams mystery box, don't show you anything. And that's backfired a lot of times. I mean, he did that with Star Trek, but eventually he, started showing it. Yeah, the Japanese trailer, I have issues with that, by the way. It's the hypocrisy of the internet, but I'm not going to get into that. But I don't, I'm just sitting there going, how do you, what's the hook for this movie from a general public standpoint? And I don't see it. And I was going to say 130, but Sean beat me to it. So I'm going to go a little bit higher, sorry Sean, and say 135. I just don't know. Like, you know, maybe it could do great, but 200, I'm like, 200 going off of really just the faith that they're going to sell it better, not the faith that it's going to be good, because I think it is going to be good. Because I'm not
faith
seeing,
in the filmmaker. I made that abundantly clear. It's faith in him.
Yeah, but the good movies fail.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
it's like
I agree.
So that can't be a part of the equation. It's about, are they selling? Like, what I've seen so far, does it look good? And do I think other people are going to look good? Do I think other people are going to think the same thing? And again, what are we showing to people that's going to make them say, I got to see that? You know, Mad Max, I could be completely wrong about Mad Max, but I look at that footage and I go, people haven't seen anything like that in years, and there's such an energy and weird and uniqueness to it, and that makes me think people are going to say, I got to go see that. And I don't feel that with Tomorrowland, which looks great, but I don't know if it's going to make money.
I understand. I do understand. I do want to say, this is just a strictly cynical commercial move, and I don't know if it would count for anything anyway. But you know, they've been talking a lot about how the new Star Wars trailer is going to be in front of Avengers. You'd think they'd put it in front of Tomorrowland.
See, that stuff doesn't even matter anymore. We live in a different environment where they put trailers out before they even are in front of movies, and trailers aren't attached to movies anymore anyway because it's all digital.
Well, I think it's true. I mean, I think you're right. It's be better if they put Star Wars in front of Tomorrowland, because that'd be a draw to get people to see Tomorrowland for sure. But the other thing I want to compare it to when you mentioned the filmmaker is Interstellar, because Interstellar opened under 50 million, and everyone was getting so high on that movie. It was everyone was like going crazy, and they were thinking 60 million, 70 million opening, and it opened low. It ended up doing fine with legs because it opened in November and it has the holidays, but. I mean, this is the thing. Memorial Day weekend is one of those, you know, people will be out to go see movies that weekend, but people who haven't seen Avengers will go see that. People who haven't seen Mad Max will go see that. And Tomorrowland, it'll probably do really well, but it'll still, you know, I mean, it might not get everyone until people start talking about it, which might not be until the week after Memorial Day. So I'm still going. I think it'll do well post opening weekend, but I don't think it'll open huge either.
Sean.
I was just going to add on to the trailer bit. I would bet quite a bit that in addition to Star Wars, they put out the final trailer for this with Avengers, because that's really be the best way. And they're both Disney, so even though Jamie, you know, I agree, it's a very different era now with attaching trailers. It doesn't quite work the same way. But theaters, if they're being run by people who know how to do their jobs, they are still putting trailers in front of movies that the studio recommends. So. I mean, I really think if they just put out one final trailer that not answers everything, but kind of starts taking away that shroud of mystery to the movie, it could make a huge difference if they put it in front of Avengers.
Or clips, if they start releasing clips, like more clips.
Yeah, more clips too.
I mean, like I said, the scene I saw, like, you know, at New York Comic Con was great. It was a really good extended scene. But again, it'll be a Cannes, which is probably May 15th. It will be so if they have it'll probably be word will be out there.
I agree. I mean, I think a lot of this stems from the fact that I don't think Disney's marketing department actually really has a handle on how to properly market their live-action movies that aren't already established brand names of some sort. I mean, again, it goes back to John Carter. I was reading this book that was recommended to us a couple of months ago, specifically on how John Carter was completely destroyed, the full journey of how that movie was completely botched in terms of its marketing. And a lot of it was due to the fact that it was an unwanted child. It's like, by the time that they were making the movie, they had Marvel and they had Star Wars, and not only did they not know how to market it, they just didn't care. Sean's mentioning Prince of Persia there as well. But yeah, actually, that's an established brand name of sorts. They just didn't have a good movie there. But I really just feel like they don't know how to market movies that aren't established brand names. I remember the marketing for Pirates 1. It was terrible. I remember the marketing for Frozen. It was shite. They don't know what they're doing unless they already know that you're going to love it. So I take it with a grain of salt, and it will count for something. You're absolutely right, but I just believe in the movie. What can I say? I'm a sucker.
I don't like that release date either. I keep going back to like, boy, they should just move it. Just move it to the fall. Give it a really prime, like...
Not again! Don't do that to me! And don't do that to me again, please! I need it! Please! Please! It was supposed to be out at Christmas! I was supposed to have seen it already. My life was supposed to have been changed already.
Which was a better date?
It was.
Yeah, I agree. I think Christmas would have been a better Christmas movie, too. I agree.
May 22nd does also bring us the remake of Poltergeist. Ed, all yours.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm really... You know what? I've been so psyched about this remake for years now. I've been I love that original movie so much. And I kind of, I actually read the original script, and then Sam Raimi came on, and so did the writer David O'Hare, I think it was, came on writing it. And they got a director who I'm not that, I'm not sure about him. He did it was Gil Kennan who did Gil Kennan. He did Monster House, that 3D animated movie. And I'm not really sure about him. I like Sam Rockwell, and I like what's her name, Rosemary DeWitt, who starred in it. But I don't know. I'm really kind of nervous about it because I feel like I like the original movie so much, as did others. But I'm not sure how it'll play these days. Even though Insidious was almost a direct ripoff of it, they kind of, it's hard to say. And also, I hate the weekend it's opening. I don't think it's a good Memorial Day weekend opener at all. I don't know why they would open a horror movie on a Memorial Day weekend, because they've never done well when they do. So I'm going pretty low on this one. I think it'll, I don't think it cost too much. So, but I mean, they moved it recently too. That's the other thing. They moved it. It was supposed to come out in June, which would be a much better release date, and they moved it to Memorial Day. But I'm going 66 million on it, which is probably going to be higher than everyone else. But I think it'll have a.
Don't bet on it.
Really? Okay. Well, I know. I think it'll have it'll do 20 to 25 million over Memorial Day weekend, and then it'll probably, some horror fans will probably see it, if it's any good. But I don't know. I'm very dubious of this movie. Period. So. My number was, so I said 66 million.
Sean?
I'm a little more confident. I've actually never seen the original, which is kind of funny because when we went through that email exchange about including this movie, I didn't really mention that. But yeah, so I'm going to see the original before I see this one, but I actually just saw the trailer for it yesterday because I was trying not to until I got a chance to see the first one. But I don't know. I feel like it's been a while now. I think last October since a horror movie did genuinely well, and it just feels like we're a little bit due. And Jason Blum, I mean, he's got a pretty good track record, even though he's, as a producer, that's not always as reliable as the director, which, like Ed mentioned. But I mean, I'm thinking 80 million or so, with a pretty front-loaded run as you would usually expect with horror movies. I think The Conjuring kind of proved a few years ago that a summer horror movie can do really well. Not that it was the first, but it is pretty rare. But based on what I saw in the trailer, I'm not really seeing a breakout by any means. But I think there will be enough interest. And even though, since we're all pretty conservative for the most part anyway on Tomorrowland, it's not like there's going to be a huge opener that weekend to steal away people's attention. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 80.
Jamie?
Wow, really? You guys, I mean, I just saw the trailer yesterday too, but I remember, but that was a big deal. Like Fox saying we're going to put Spy, which would have been, done really well that weekend. I mean, Memorial Day is a big movie going weekend. Now we're going to put Poltergeist there instead. That didn't feel like dumping. That felt like we have a better product. I don't know. I just, wow. I mean, I looked at the footage and I go, whatever. But I think you guys are crazy. I'm saying 140. I'm going high.
Whoa!
Wow.
Wow.
I'm going high, yeah, because The Conjuring is a great example because let's forget about. Remember what happened with The Conjuring? That was supposed to open, I think, in like August. Warner Brothers screened it. It did so well. They said we're giving it the Dark Knight slot, and it did great business. It was their mid-July. It was the last time they had a movie in that slot that did great business. I mean, because they moved Jupiter Ascending, so they took a year off, but they, out of confidence, gave them their prime slot.
It have to make like $70 million or something to do that kind of money. You have to do like huge over the 4 days to do $140 million total, I think. You
think so?
Yeah, because usually it's that 4-day weekend. Usually a movie might do like 2.5 times. It does less amount because it does so much over opening weekend, especially if it's like a movie like that where it's a horror movie, which is usually front loaded. So.
Well, in that case, I mean, I can peg it down by $10 million and say 130, but that's still like way more than you guys. And it's like, I just think that's a confidence move by Warner Brothers by Fox, because apparently Spy is good. I mean, that's been the indication from people who've seen it, and it's going to play well. But then why move it? Like, why put Poltergeist here? That's a bigger weekend. It's not because you're afraid of Tomorrowland, because you don't know what you're afraid of. You're a phantom movie. Again, no offense.
Or maybe they're hoping that Tomorrowland, Mad Max, and Avengers will take up all the business, so they could say, I don't know. I'm very dubious of this movie, especially since it was supposed to come out last year too. So.
That's right. Yeah. So we forget about this shit. So I'll move it down by $10 million. I'll change from 140 to 130, but still, it's higher than you guys.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what I'm gonna say, yeah?
True. What are you gonna say, sir?
75. So it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, I've seen Poltergeist once. I'm not really a fan myself, and I've never seen the sequels. I've seen the bit with the guy's face melting off about 50 times, because that's an amazing scene. But the movie itself, I've only actually seen in its entirety once. Just never been a fan. But I know the movie well enough, even only having seen it once, to look at that trailer and say, that really is as pointless a remake as the Omen remake. And the only thing that movie had going for it was its release date. Yes.
That's right.
And we were talking, actually, before Jamie got here, about the release date, because Poltergeist, I remember just one of those pointless bits of trivia I keep in my head. I knew Poltergeist came out in June 82, and I thought, why isn't this coming out then? I don't understand why they've moved it, and we've talked about that. I hope Jamie's right for his sake, but no, it just looks like the kind of movie where people will have better things to do that weekend. I mean, look, how do these kind of movies tend to do? I mean, I looked at like The Purge 2, for example. That made 71. The original Poltergeist made 76. Albeit that was back in 82. That's a lot more money these days, but there's generally a cap on these things, I think, and it's nowhere near the numbers that Jamie's talking about. So I'm going to come in between.
76 would be like 130 today. Like, what are you talking about?
You just made that up. All right, where is your adjusted for inflation calculator that proves that is actually accurate? Get that out for me.
It would probably be higher, my friend.
It probably would. It was a great success, but I think these days there's a cap on these things, really. And I mean, look, it's made for an audience of today who hasn't even seen the original. They ain't gonna give a shit. They ain't gonna give a shit, and they're gonna have to be convinced by people like Edward that no, you should really see the original. It's really good, So I'm just gonna I'm gonna cut right in between Ed and Shawn. It's nothing personal. I always had it at 75 myself. That's where I'm gonna put it out.
Yeah, I just want to say that it has been moved around a lot. I mean, before it ended up on that date, it was. I wasn't supposed to come out last year. It was supposed to come out in February. It was supposed to come out on that weekend, that President's Day weekend, which it probably would have done really well on that. And then it got moved back to late July, and then it got moved to May. And I think maybe it was in June as well in there, but. It's been moved around a lot, and that's like not showing confidence to me. That's just showing we don't know what to do with it. Let's just put it out. It'll come out. Our obligation's done. Move on, And I think that's, I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be like it's probably going to end up opening like 3rd or 4th on that weekend of Memorial Day, and then So I'm happy. I thought I was going a little even higher than I should have been going, but I think I'm going to stick. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my prediction.
May 29th brings us, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the first big budget disaster movie I can remember for a couple of years. San Andreas, starring Dwayne Johnson. Sean?
Yeah, this is one of those I'm really torn on because on the one hand, I think Johnson can drive the right movie. I mean, Hercules did a little better last year than I thought it would. But I'm just not. The trailers haven't convinced me. It feels like an Emmerich movie without Emmerich, and I don't know. I keep getting a White House Down vibe with this. Like this is Dwayne Johnson's White House Down. His star power is probably going to be even higher now right after Furious 7. But I just don't know. Like you said, it's been a while since a disaster movie, so that could help. But I just don't sense any demand for a disaster movie with. I mean, pretty much every movie that comes out now is taken away the one thing that disaster movies could sell themselves on, and that was special effects. But now you get that pretty much every week of summer. So I'm gonna go 80 on this one too. I don't think it's gonna hit, and it's in that dreaded weekend after Memorial Day release spot, which usually doesn't do that well unless you're Disney last year with Maleficent. So yeah, I'm gonna go 80.
Jamie?
I'm going 70, actually, so it's very similar. Yeah, this looks like, I mean, yeah, we're the B-level actors. I mean, it's a lot of Paul Giamatti voiceover, and it's not feeling it, man. And ironically, like, bitching about, like, how Tomorrowland should go to Christmas, like, no, San Andreas, like, no, this is where it belongs. This is exactly the date it needs to go, but you're just like, ew. They just shouldn't have made it.
What am I going to say? I've been wrestling with this one. It looks utter crap. I mean, I had no desire to even watch the trailer until I was doing the research for this show. That's the first time I've seen it. Both trailers, actually. And I love Dwayne as much as anybody, and that's the only thing that's going to get bums on seats. But it's about this genre, guys. This genre is played out, and you can't look at this movie from the footage we've seen so far and see a single image there that is exciting, that isn't completely overly familiar and utterly boring. It doesn't look interesting at all. I'm calling this one as the flop of the summer. I am. I've got it at 50. 50 flat. I just don't think anyone's gonna go. I really don't. And that's all I've got to say about it. Edward?
Yeah, it's funny. I have not seen the trailer for this, and I probably would watch it if I even knew it was out there, but I've not been really paying attention. I do know this is going to be more of a serious movie than we normally see from Dwayne Johnson. But, I really thought Hercules was going to, bomb. I thought Hercules was going to make, 20 million total. So, and it made, it made 73 or something, and it opened, at almost 30. So, I mean, I think he still has, and that opening opened at almost 30 against Lucy, if I recall right. So, I mean, obviously, I think he has a fan base. I think people who see Furious 7 are going to love him and want to see him. I think he has a lot of support. And the fact that it's opening, again, a week after Tomorrowland, it's opening... I mean, that last weekend in May is actually a pretty decent weekend. Usually, it's not Memorial Day weekend, but it's we've had some decent-sized hits in there. And I think this one's at least worth, 25 to 30 million opening. So I'm going to go right between... I think I'm going right between Shawn and Jamie with 75 million, which is going to really throw us off if it ends up being 76 or whatever, 77.5 or... I don't know, but I think 75... I think it's worth 75 million, which is almost as much as Hercules made. Again, I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I think it's just going to be one of those, what else is there to see? Not much, and then we'll go see that.
It's a good tagline for it, actually.
Yeah. What else is there to see in San Andreas?
Not much. June 12th brings us finally Jurassic World. I am going to be very interested to see what hand Mr. Williams plays on this one. Go ahead, sir.
As I eat my donut. It's weird. They're playing on it's the weird way that they're playing on nostalgia kind of. I do like the way they're playing just a little bit of the John Williams thing with the piano quietly in the trailers. Like there's sort of slow building suspense. That to me is the most interesting part of the marketing so far, because everything else I'm just like, oh, so it's more mayhem. It's more, but it's not just dinosaurs. It's a, crossbreed with another dinosaur. I think the big thing about this movie, and I think all of us can agree here, is this will be the test of, is Chris Pratt a movie star? Because, Guardians came out last year, mega hit, very few people called it, and even I wasn't crazy about it, but boy, Pratt was really good for the most part. One area I didn't like him in was the whatever. So it was a movie star kind of role, and you see, like, all right, well, he's now headlining a Jurassic Park sequel. I don't feel, and, it's funny, you don't feel like he's playing the same character. Like, that's the other sort of thing, is our audience is going to go into this expecting him to play Peter Quill again, and you don't get that vibe. And Pratt's done other stuff. Parks and Rec didn't suddenly get a rating surge because he started Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, NBC dumped it and people just didn't watch because they never watched the show to begin with. I'm still going high with Jurassic Park because it has been over 20 years since the original, but I'm not going to go crazy like $200 million domestic because only the first one did. Only the original movie did over 200. Even The Lost World, which at the time broke the 3-day record and was seemingly a well-liked movie, did not do $200 million domestic. So I'm actually going to say 175 because I'm still waiting to be wowed by the footage. Like, it looks fine for what it is, but it's like, if this wasn't called Jurassic Park, would we be going as nuts about it? If that make you get what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's like the brand name is talking.
No, you said it yourself, Jamie. The most exciting thing in the trailers so far has been the slow piano. It's true. I mean, I think the timing is perfect, and that's why I've been high on it. I've been saying for a couple of months now that this one, along with Avengers, and I guess with Minions, it seems like the one that's going to be the big monster success, because in terms of nostalgia for the series, it feels like the right time for there to be another big Jurassic Park, not like 3. I could never understand why anyone wanted to see 3. It just didn't look interesting at all, and I never did. And the time that this film's coming out in the summer, it's going to have been a few weeks since a major tentpole with a built-in fan base, so I think people are going to be hungry for Jurassic World. My only concern is about the quality of the film that I'm seeing so far. I was high on it till I saw the trailers, because I want it to be awesome, but I'm expecting cheesy, I am expecting Jaws 3 in a way, but really, really ridiculous, really fun, a really great time, we're all in. That's the best way to go. It has such amazing potential, because the first film didn't have a theme park. It was a zoo, It was an ecological preserve. This thing has rides. All the best things in the trailer are just seeing the rides, and it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, if someone was stupid enough to build a theme park on that island again, those are the kind of rides they do. That would make sense. You would have a jungle cruise like that. I love it. It's cool. But I just feel like so much of the movie seems to be about something that I don't want it to be. It should just be about setting the animals loose and have a bunch of action sequences on the rides. But this seems to be about some special super dinosaur that's running around. And Chris Pratt, we talked about this last year. He seems to be the superficial tough guy. I hate to judge performances based on trailers, but he looks bored. And I'm not engaged so far with what I'm saying.
Bored. He just looks serious. I mean, he's actually an incredibly versatile actor, like, who doesn't get enough credit for how he's played lots of different ranges successfully. But this is not. It's weird because you think like, oh, he's going to be playing Star-Lord again, and maybe that's what this movie needs.
What's that though?
I don't know. I think there was a certain feel, a hope, like, hey, this dinosaurs and. He's going to be playing like a fun-loving guy again. Like, that'd be kind of cool because, frankly, I mean, who's the best character in Jurassic Park? It's Jeff fucking Goldblum. He's the audience character. Like, this movie needs an audience character, and, like, it doesn't seem like it has it.
I agree. That's a great point. I completely agree with that. It seems to.
And you think it would have been Chris Pratt, and you're like, nope, it's not. He's just the serious, like, guy who wrangles with the dinosaurs. It's like, we must stop this thing from happening. I tell you. You know, it's like from a shitty 70s disaster movie. It's like, really? I mean...
Do you know who it is? It's probably one of the raptors that he teams up with. We just don't know it yet, but it's
He
probably...
high-fives them. Yeah.
That's chaos theory. That's chaos theory. I mean, I think... Oh, God, I'm going to say 190. I think they fucked up on this one. I just don't think it's going to hit its potential, because I just think they've made a different movie than they should have, and I'm probably just prejudging it, but instead of one of the biggest hits of the summer, I think it's just going to be an okay film that people forget about the second they walk out of the movie. 190. Edward?
Yeah, you're both wrong. I think there's going to be probably it's probably going to be one of the biggest hits of the summer. After Avengers and one other movie we haven't talked to you about yet. Because so many people have seen Jurassic Park and Lost World since they've come out. The time they've waited to make this movie actually is going to probably help it, because people are going to have forgotten, any problems with Jurassic Park 3, which I actually liked as well. But I think, you have a lot of people now. You have like a lot of kids who will want to go see it, like in the 9-10 range will probably be allowed to go see it. It's a lot more serious, but you know what? It's a Jurassic Park movie with killer dinosaurs. Why would you want to have someone running around joking and making jokes and stuff? I mean, yes, there was something special about the first movie, and a lot of that was in the Jeff Goldblum making, comments, jokey comments about stuff. And, nothing will replace that movie or surpass that movie. But, I think there's something to be said about the brand. The marketing, which I think has been pretty decent. They've not shown too much, but they've shown enough of the story. I think there's a lot of people out there who aren't nearly as cynical as you guys tend to be. I think it's going to open like probably 90 million range, which would, Lost World did that amount, and that was back like in the 90s when, and now it's like, tickets are way higher. I'm gonna say 254. I'm gonna probably be the high person on this one, but I think it's going to be one of the big movies of the summer for sure.
Well, here's the thing, Ed. I was with you for the longest time until I started seeing footage. I was like, this is going to be one of the biggest hits in summer. I was the same. I was like, 250, easily, just off the brand name. I was like, it's been long enough. But then I saw the footage and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm with Phil. I was like, this feels like a missed opportunity. But I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, but
I think the footage. I don't know. I was excited about it, but not like I don't know. The footage actually got me excited about it again. I feel like it reminded me maybe of what. Of going to that first movie at the Ziegfeld or the Lost World at Ziegfeld. It really got me excited again in a way that, and I know a lot of people, my age and, younger I know people who are in the 20s who love the Jurassic Park movies. I know people in the 30s, 40s, 50s. I mean, it's pretty wide range.
Oh, absolutely.
And as long if they get a PG-13 for it, and they can do a PG-13 movie, they'll get the 9-10-year-olds too, and the parents bringing the kids. Kids absolutely love dinosaurs. You can't go wrong with dinosaurs. I mean,
I agree.
We'll see. So I don't know. I'm pretty confident that it's going to be at least higher than 200. So,
Shawn,
I'm gonna go lowest here. I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm gonna go 170.
That's okay. Really, I had you going high.
Well, I legitimately had 175 here, so I think our line of thinking is pretty similar. I think the nostalgia is definitely going to be there, but I'm waiting for that moment like I had with Indiana Jones a few years back. Like when you saw those trailers, there was clearly excitement for it, personally and just in general. And I'm not getting that sense here. But I do think it's going to open pretty big because of Pratt more than anything else. I don't think the brand is as strong as Pratt is right now. I think it's going to fall off after that based on these trailers. And the creature feature thing just doesn't. It seems like it was hurt by Godzilla last year a little bit. Like that was probably the exception to the rule, because Pacific Rim a couple years ago, even though totally different comparison, no star, no brand name, but it still it did 100, which in retrospect maybe wasn't that bad. But I get more of a Terminator Salvation feeling with this, like Bale coming off Nights the year after.
That's
feels
interesting.
The exact thing. It feels like the exact same thing with Pratt right now. So yeah, I'll go 170. I hope I'm wrong, because I remember being 8 years old and seeing that first movie in the theater with my dad, and it was one of the most awesome things I've ever seen. But ever since then, it's just been a steady fall downhill for me with the franchise.
I mean, if I can pick Edward up on a point, not that I want him to win, I want him to lose, but I'd just like him to consider something here. That Jamie was asking a question before about Avengers, where's the big moment? What are you selling? And I feel the same way about Jurassic World. The thing that they keep showing in every trailer and TV spot is that thing with the sea monster dino that eats the shark. And it's like, is that it? Is that the biggest thing you've got? I mean, they really do need to be doing the big trailer where they play the full theme at full blast. They're going subtle with this, and I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe it's still early. I mean, we're talking.
It could be
June
coming.
12th is like 2 months away.
It's early.
They can have something really huge with Avengers. They can have something with they're okay. I think they're doing okay. They know what they have there, and I think it's gonna be a better movie than most people expect. Me personally, hopefully I'm right. But I don't know. I have a feeling that there's a better movie there than people think.
I hope you're right too. Then we can have Jurassic Galaxy and all those movies.
And then Chris Pratt can play Star-Lord.
Exactly.
Galaxy.
No, but it's weird though, because like we all kept expecting like what would another, because we knew there was eventually going to be a 4. Like we all knew it was going to happen.
Right.
And it's just going, what's it going to be? And you're like, oh well, I mean, because I got a plot description about it. I heard about what it's going to be maybe about 8 months ago, close to a year ago, because they were shooting it in Baton Rouge, and I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. Like because I was you kind of sit there going, well, the next expansion is that the dinosaurs get out. You see, like, people in real life react to them, like, or maybe, like, go all out crazy and have, like, a world where people are interacting with dinosaurs, or, in spaceships. Thank you, Ed.
It's a madhouse!
Oh, man. See, what they should do is do the Fast and the Furious, mix them together, and Back to the Future. That was my pitch, God damn it,
They are both Universal, so it could happen still.
I know, that's the thing. We can just do that. And the Universal monsters show up.
I can think.
We haven't
I
heard
like
much about them lately, have we?
No, yeah, oh, that's right. What about that universe?
Yep,
Thank you.
that one.
Sean.
I was just gonna say, domestic aside, I actually think this will be pretty big overseas. But
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
yeah, I mean, 3D.
I could see it do 800 overseas, worldwide.
Wow. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
June 19th. Oh man, it's the long-awaited return of the Pixar film. It's Inside Out, directed by Monsters Inc. and Up's director, Pete Docter. Man, I tell ya, I'm pretty high on this one. I must say, I've been, like all the Pixar movies, I follow them really every morsel of information from inception to completion. And first of all, the fact that they're at least releasing this one when it was intended to come out is a good sign, as opposed to The Good Dinosaur, which apparently is coming out this year. We'll see about that. And I'm I'm in love with it already. I've seen the trailers. I was a little bit surprised by the story that it's actually, as the latest trailer told us, basically a buddy team up between two of Riley, the little girl's emotions, who basically get lost and have to find their way through the body. There's a little bit of Osmosis Jones in that, I suppose, and I'm the only one who remembers that friggin' movie. Well, Jamie does.
I remember it.
But I'm not basing this on much except the fact that Pixar movies, even the lame ones like Monsters University, they pull in these insane numbers, and I think this is going to be a much better movie than that. It's weird how I haven't heard much buzz on it yet. Like, when Up was coming out, we heard the buzz on it. We heard what kind of movie they had there. We heard with WALL-E what kind of movie that they had there. With this one, I really haven't heard much, but I still believe utterly in its quality, and I really feel more than anything, and this is where the box office comes in, that this premise will appeal to all of us. I don't know necessarily if they're going to show characters of all age groups in this movie and the emotions inside of, but certainly guys are going to relate to that dad. Mums are going to relate to that mum. and kids, hopefully of both sexes, are going to relate to this little girl. This movie's going to connect with us. It's going to be fast, it's going to be funny, it's going to be touching in only the way the director of Up could do, and I think it's going to be a monster success. The only question is, how does it do in comparison to Minions? Well, obviously, I can't show my hand on that yet, but I'm going to go crazy high on this one. I'm going to say 275. That's nuts, but it's actually less than Up, and only slightly more than Monsters University, which is a big pile of shit in my opinion, but I'm going to say 275. Ed?
Well, okay, I can't say too much because I have seen an hour of the movie already.
God damn you!
But
I'm
and actually, I mean, the push is starting. The push has started this last week because they had a lot of people going to Pixar to see that hour, and everything's going to start breaking on Monday next week. So you'll start hearing more about it then. I can't see much. I mean, I liked it. I liked what I saw. I know people I was with loved what they saw. It didn't quite connect with me as much as Up did. It wasn't as funny as Up, and it's not as funny as a lot of the other movies. I don't think it's as kid-friendly as some of the movies. I think kids will, I mean, it's definitely more an adult-type movie than people are expecting. And it has the characters of, I mean, I don't know, I'm not, again, without saying too much, I'm a little nervous about this one. I think I'm a little more like a little more in the Ratatouille kind of range, where it's like a great movie that everyone loves, but harder to sell, because I think it is harder to sell than the other ones. I'm just checking right now. Ratatouille made 206. Let me check WALL-E too, because I think WALL-E
Wally
is
did 225.
225. Yeah, so those were ranges. I mean, Up did really well, but also Up was like, I'm not sure if anything else opened that summer kid movie wise, but I don't know. I feel like there's like less. I think kid movies are generally not making as much as they used to, and in the last, we saw it last year with How to Train Your Dragon, which everyone was so so excited about. So I don't know. I'm gonna go. I mean, I think originally I was gonna say like in that 180, but I'm gonna go over two. I think it's gonna make 205 because I think people. No, sorry, not 205. 215. Because I think people are gonna like it, enjoy it, and you'll probably get a lot of another Oscar nomination, probably win. But I think it's also like. It comes out just a couple weeks before Minions. I think it's gonna be harder. It's not gonna get to like the 3 or 4 year olds. They're not gonna be interested at all. They're gonna be really bored from what I've seen. It's gonna be one of those movies animated movies that adults love and they, get really emotional about, especially parents. Just to give you a clue, I don't think it's gonna be I don't think like 20, 30-year-old guys are gonna be as into it as people who are parents. And because of that, I think it's gonna eventually just tail off or have a window. So I'm saying 215, and we'll see.
Sean?
See, I feel like Up was already pretty adult-centric. I mean, that was a pretty hard first 15 minutes of a movie to get through if you're under the age of, like, 20.
Yeah, but then they had a talking dog, and they had a bird, and they had a kid. The kid in that is much more... Like, Russell is so much more of I don't know. I think Russell's this character Riley is basically a very moody 11-year-old girl. So
It's a typical kid,
Right.
Yeah, but I mean that's the whole
which can be hard to sell for a movie.
Yeah, I think it's not. I mean, Russell is such a funny character. I mean, there's not the kind of humor in this as there is in Up or even Monsters University. So.
Well, I don't know.
No, sorry.
I don't know. I'm trying not to adjust my my prediction based on what you're saying, but I don't know, it's tough because I feel like this is the one movie I could just see breaking out huge in a Finding Nemo way before hearing any of what you were talking about with that hour. God, I don't know, man. I think Pixar's due in a few ways because I'm still surprised at how well Monster Sequel did after its opening weekend. And it's been 2 years since that. I think families are going to be looking for that. And there'll be a trailer for it in front of Avengers. So I think it's going to open pretty big. I actually think it'll be bigger than Minions. I think it's going to be the bigger animation this summer. I think it'll be one of the biggest of the summer. I don't know if I can go as high as you, Phil. You said 275?
I did.
Man, I'm around that same area. This is tough. really don't know. I think the fact that they're going to show the movie at CinemaCon says they're pretty confident in it, and that happened with Monsters a couple of years ago. Yeah, I need one big call. I'm going to say 280.
Boom!
Damn.
All right, Jamie.
You guys are fuck you, Sean. Fuck you, Phil.
What did we do?
I had 275, and I was like, I'll move to 280. 280. Damn it!
Well,
I'll fuck it. I'll be the highest bidder on here. 285.
boom again.
This is for the same reasons. I mean, those are some very realistic, cautious comments from Ed, and you could be proven right on that one. And I'm with Sean. I think it's gonna be a back and forth between this and Minions for what will be the big animated movie this year. And I'm gonna tip my hat to Inside Out because Pixar's a bigger brand name. People depend on it, and it's like my best friend Chip says. It's like Coca-Cola. It's like Hershey's. Like it's dependable. It's always been there. Even like Monsters University was sold really, in my opinion, on the fact that it was Pixar. I think that's really what got the people to go see that movie. I'm still surprised that did. What was it, like 260? I'm stunned it did that well. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, I'm gonna say 285 for the reasons that you said, Phil. I mean, you literally said everything. I'm going all out on that one.
I just love how the three of us are telling the guy who's seen half the movie to go fuck himself. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, more than half the movie. More than half the movie.
But I suppose so, yes.
Before we did,
Again, like some people were just completely over the moon about it, but like the people who were over the moon about it were people who, are LA journalists who get over the moon over everything they see early. So
that's true.
So I'm being more grounded on this one and saying, I don't know, I'm being more grounded on this one because I feel like it did not connect with me as well. That first half of Up, really connected with me, and other movies have too. And Monster University also. I really like when I saw because I did the same thing. I did a Monster University trip to Pixar 2 years ago too, and that connected with me more too.
I understand what you're saying, Ed. The moment you said Ratatouille, it made crystal clear sense. I think you probably are going to be right on this again because you know what you're talking about. But it'd just be nice if it was a phenomenon. If it's as good as we think it's going to be and the quality translates to box office. It just tends to with these Pixar movies. They just bring in these crazy numbers. I don't know how Monsters University made 265. I think that's what it made. I don't know how.
It's very kid friendly. The thing is, it's based on humor. And it has a lot of humor. And a lot of the other movies like Finding Nemo, they all had a lot of humor inherent in it. WALL-E is another example where it was not, it wasn't as funny. It was a little more serious. This is kind of more in that vein, to be honest.
Yeah.
Certainly not the kind of movie you can merchandise much.
Yeah, you can have. I already have a hat. I already have an Inside Out hat.
True.
So
I do. That's one point that I always try to. I'm a big stickler on is if an animated movie is going to be funny or if it's going to be huge, it usually needs to be funny, which is I think something all of us forgot with Dragon last year, because it's not a comedy.
Good example. Yeah.
Yeah, but with Inside Out, I think one of the big advantages for it to me is the fact that its main character is a girl, and there just aren't a lot of animated movies like that right now. The last one, really, unless I'm forgetting something, was Frozen, and we know how that did. So I just think that's going to add a different layer of appeal to it, especially with women of all ages. And when they get interested in a movie, and if it's a Pixar movie, it seems like it has a lot of potential. But again, only one of us has seen half the movie, so I guess we'll.
It looks hilarious to me. In the last trailer, the brain freeze joke, that had me on the floor. I was like, why didn't I never think of that? Of course, if she gets brain freeze, they're all going to get frozen in the control center. That's genius. I love that joke.
Yeah. There's funnier stuff than that. There's some funnier stuff, but the thing is, the little girl is not the main character. So let's put it that way. The two characters in the brain are the main characters, and so, and two of them specifically. So.
Oh God. June 26 brings us Ted 2, the sequel. And what I just said is far funnier than anything I've seen from it so far. Over to you, Ed.
Or how did I end up in the first one of this one? I still remember A Million Ways to Die last year, and we were talking. That was like, oh, it's coming after Ted, so it's going to do great. And unfortunately, this is coming after that, so this is going to be even. Was A Million Ways to Die last year?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
that
was
weekend. The weekend, the last week of May. We're talking about bad weekends. Like that's
By the way, Up opened that last weekend in May also, as I noted in the.
That's right. That dragged me to hell.
So the thing is, I mean, I think it's really weird because people love that first movie, Ted. It was like The Hangover, like that kind of big, people loved it. And The Hangover 2 did pretty well, even though it was a terrible movie. It was basically the same movie. So Ted 2 is kind of in the same boat where the people who love Ted 1 theoretically will go see Ted 2. The question is whether it'll be good enough to keep them coming back or whether it'll, because it won't do as well as the first movie. There's just no way it's going to do $200 million. That's for sure. I don't know where I'm going to be in the ball. I'm saying 140. I think it's going to do decently opening weekend. I think it's kind of not. It's going to be like it's not going to have the novelty of the first movie. Just like with Avengers, it was like it's a sequel, and people are going to be like, okay, let's go see it, and then okay, we saw it, and they're going to move on. So 140.
Yeah.
Shawn.
This is a hard one for me because it's going to have that goodwill coming in, but with comedies especially, maybe more than anything, it just comes down to how good the movie's going to be. And I don't feel like the trailer missed the notes it was trying to hit, but it didn't quite hit them either. So maybe a second trailer will just completely change that in one direction or the other. I don't know, but I'm along the similar line. I'm going to say 150. I definitely don't see it getting anywhere near 200. I could see it go below Ed's 140 to be honest, but I feel I'll stick with 150.
Jamie.
100 even.
Woo. Wow.
You got to explain that, sir. You don't just get to say that and then say nothing else. You got to explain that.
I mean, look, the first one was hugely popular. I mean, I think it stole Amazing Spider-Man's thunder. And there was certainly nostalgia for that movie. It had a great concept. It was funny. I mean, I loved it. But no one really, as much as people, they loved the first one. But, no one was really clamoring for another one. I mean, we've seen that happen before where, like, they love the first. I mean, we saw it with Horrible Bosses. We saw it with Sherlock Holmes. Huge hits. People loved them. They didn't want more. They said, I'm good. I don't want, and the studio sort of foolishly thinks franchise, and then it comes back to haunt them, and I get the vibe with this. And also the trailer was terrible. There was the leaked trailer, which granted there was unfinished effect shots, so you can't really judge it, and it wasn't supposed to get out, and it did. That wasn't particularly funny. The jokes it was aiming for. And then the actual trailer that they released was not really funny. There is the Hangover 2 comparison, but the difference is that they were smart by getting it out as fast as they could. I mean, it was 2 years later. I mean, and they gave it Memorial Day. They gave it a big weekend. And, at least they promised it was something different. Like, they lied to us, but, like, Todd Phillips and them said, like, they were saying, like, no, it's a different kind of movie. And, like, the footage did look different. And then, of course, we realized we'd been lied to. And they paid for it with the third one. This one, they're being upfront about the fact that it's the same fucking movie. There's nothing really, it's got nothing new to offer. It's the same shit over again. If you liked it the first time, you'll probably like it again. And I love the first one, but I'm good. I think I see a huge drop with the movie. 100 million, man. I could see it do less than 100. I could see it do 90. Shit. Let's remember, like, people, look, I mean, A Million Ways to Die in the West was sold off of the fact that it was Seth MacFarlane who made Ted, which was incredibly popular, right? People didn't go. Well, I mean, that's a strike against him. Like, people go, oh yeah, but is it going to be a piece of shit like A Million Ways to Die in the West? So.
Well, I'll only counterpoint one argument you're making there, Jamie, when you say that, people will go see the part 2 because it's more of the same. One of the rules you have to follow if you're going to do that is that all the cast needs to be back. And all I could say as I was watching the trailer is, where's Mila Kunis?
She's like in one scene, apparently.
Unacceptable.
I agree, but like she's like in one scene, so.
Well, when she's not there, you realise how little they've got. In my opinion, it looks crap. You can't push Ted's girlfriend to the forefront as a lead character. It doesn't play. And you can't replace Mila Kunis with Amanda Seyfried. It don't play. And the moment the trailer opened with Sam Jones as the Reverend, I gave up. I just immediately...
really?
Yeah, you're starting this trailer with the last joke of the last movie. You're done. You haven't got anything. And then I think it will have a few jokes that will work. I mean, I chuckled once when they were throwing jars at each other in the urine clinic. I mean, I chuckled at that because I thought it was kind of funny. Don't forget, I laughed at the trailer for A Million Ways to Die in the West. Then Jamie saw it, and I never saw the movie because of what it did to him. But I'm not going to see this. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not interested unless every person that I trust in the world tells me that I'm missing out. Every single one of you, I'm just not going to go. And I don't think Ted... I don't think Ted 1 is the phenomenon you would think either. People loved it when it came out. I haven't really seen people talk about it since. I think they moved on to other comedy movies. I think that's just the marketplace we're living in right now. I didn't expect to be the high bidder on this one because I am going to go higher. I was going to go 190 because I have no faith in humanity, but I don't have to go that high. So I'll go 160 instead. I'll be the high bidder on this one because I learned my lesson with Hangover 2, but yeah, God, I'm not going. I am not going. Jamie, I am not going.
Oh, I'm not going either.
Great.
I just want to add that I don't think Million Ways to Die in the West will make that big a difference because I don't think Ted was sold completely on Seth MacFarlane. Whereas Million Ways to Die was Seth MacFarlane, I think people still, even though it's his humor, I think still people like the character, and I think it appealed to women as well. And like Sean's mentioning in the comments, no one did see it, so people saw Million Ways to Die in the West and they hated it. Then that would be put him off Seth MacFarlane, but people just said, oh, it's a Western with Seth MacFarlane. Who cares? When they have a talking teddy bear, you have a lot bigger audience. You have you don't have kids, but you have women are as interested as men. And I think that's one of the things that we forget with Seth MacFarlane is that at least with Ted, he can get the women in there, whereas with his show and maybe with the Western he couldn't. So I think we're really even though I think you said you're the highest, right, Phil?
I am.
Yeah. So I think we're definitely more in ballpark than Jamie, because I think Jamie's not, is assuming that no one's going to go because of Million Ways to Die. But I think the women.
No, I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but I think that could be a benefactor. I mean, because remember, Ted was sold off of it's the first movie directed by the guy who created Family Guy.
Right. But then also women discovered it, and that's why I had legs. That's why I did over $200 million because I found an audience afterwards, and they're going to go opening weekend, and maybe not after that, but I think I think you're definitely lowballing this one.
Maybe. The first movie was charming. I remember what you said, Jamie, and it was so true. The opening minute of that movie when it shows all the nostalgia, all the Christmas toys, and you said this movie's got its audience, it's got us already.
It's won. I hadn't seen the movie. Yeah, it was over. I knew it. It was like they won.
And this movie's going to open with Sam Jones as a vicar. Yeah, it ain't the same thing. Speaking of comedy films, July 1st brings us Terminator Genysis. Now, Sean, I'm going to be extremely generous here. You don't have to go first on this one if you don't want to. Because I don't envy you the task on this one, so you don't have to if you don't want to.
I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Do it.
90.
Whoa! Fuck me!
I just don't see it, man. I don't know. I think I keep going back to the fifth Die Hard, so it'll do better than that at least, No, I don't know. It's Lone Ranger all over again to me. I just don't see any interest in it. It's not the kind of 4th of July movie I think people are going to want to see. And you guys will add so much more commentary on this, so I'm just gonna leave it there and chime in.
If we can get our breath back, Jamie.
You know,
Oh no.
I have to say, it's been screening, and the reception has been very good.
Oh no.
Yes. And, I mean, I've been talking about this. Skydance signed first look deals with the writers of this movie. And not just like, oh, we're going to sign them up to write a sequel, which means nothing since, as we all know, the writers are the cheapest part of the process. They've got first look deals with the writers. That's the first inkling. A friend of mine, and I've heard reports about people who've seen the movie. A friend of mine's actually seen it. And he really liked it. And, you know, we know what happens in the movie, so we're not going to spoil it out loud for people. But I was like, well, did you mind a lot of the big changes? And he goes, no, not at all. He said, I was into it. I went along with the movie. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to say a word. There's big changes, though, I will say. But I'm starting to get an inkling that this could kind of shut us up. And I tell you, the movie to compare this to is X-Men First Class, which was horribly marketed. Some of the worst marketing. Let's not forget the X-Men First Crotch jokes I was making back in the summer of 2011. Those awful posters. The trailers weren't that good. And yet, they started screening it and the inkling got out that, like, hey, this movie works. And while it wasn't a huge hit, it kind of carried itself in later weekends, and it did underperform. But, granted, they did Days of Future Past for other reasons. Partially because they knew that they had to get the original cast back to sell the franchise. They couldn't depend on just those actors, which I think will be a problem with Apocalypse. We'll get to that next summer. But I'm starting to get an inkling that this could surprise us. And yeah, $90 million from Shawn, like, that's a realistic expectation. I mean, we're all laughing, but I could totally see that. But I'm going to actually say 130 because I could see this coming out of nowhere and people go, you know, that actually kicked ass. I don't know what it is. Something just kind of slowly won me over. I was talking to a buddy of mine. I won't say who it was. And him just going like, and he's a hardcore geek. He knows these properties. He's like, he knows he knows it as much as we do. And he was like, man, it worked. I'm telling you.
It was Alan Taylor.
And I also have to remember one last point is we talk about how stupid the plot points are in this movie, but a lot of the details of the Star Trek reboot leaked because two asshole prominent writers decided to leak it online because they didn't like it either. They thought it sounded stupid, so they just went ahead and decided to blow the plot twist of the Star Trek reboot. And we all said that sounds stupid. And guess what happened? The movie was fucking great. So I'm just gonna put it out there, man. I'm gonna say 130. And I could be completely wrong about this, I realize, but I'm just starting to get a vibe from this movie that this is gonna surprise us.
Nothing could surprise me about this movie at this stage. I don't know, man. I wasn't expecting...
Look, I could be wrong.
No, I don't think any of us are qualified to say what it's going to do. I mean, I have to detach myself completely from all the conversations we've been having over the last couple of months about it. I mean, obviously our buddy Matt has basically spoiled the whole thing of what he read about it. It seems that is definitely going to be the movie, the direction they're going. It has been horribly marketed. And also there's the other argument that Jamie hasn't mentioned yet, but you're always judged by your last movie. And Salvation was horrible. And apparently I'm hearing in the grapevine now that some people actually liked it. But I would like to think that the general consensus is that movie was a big disappointment and it didn't do what it was expected to do because I think it was a piece of shit. So I do expect this movie to be better, but I'm not treating that as a compliment. And I think it's going to be hurt financially because of that. So I've got it at 160. I had that before Jamie came in with his bombshell. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be the high bidder on this one. But again, I just got to go back to it. We can stop Judgment Day. Meanwhile, we've got 2 more sequels planned for 2017 and 2018. Fuck this movie! 116. Sorry, 160, beg your pardon.
160 is still a lot, dude. I mean,
oh, yeah. I just don't think it can be... But my point is, dude, I just don't think it's enough. I don't think this is going to be a series again. I just don't see it.
If it does 160, they're doing another one. I'm going to tell you that.
Oh, fuck it. Oh, I don't want it to 260. No, that's selfish of me because I'm basically saying I don't want other people to enjoy it. I apologise for that. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of this series more than any other. I really am. Edward.
Okay, well, obviously you have first of all, let's not forget that Arnold Schwarzenegger's back to a character that people love. He's not doing some random movie like the last couple he's done. I like Terminator. I like Terminator 3, which opened on the same week. I guess that was 12 years ago, 2003, I think it was.
Yes, sir.
And I think Terminator Salvation is kind of a forgotten thing at this point. I mean, funny thing, I was just at some kind of thing or something. They had there's a Terminator Salvation video game, a pinball game, and it was just like, oh, really? Someone still has one of these? But I don't know. I mean, I'm not as biased against this movie. I've heard there've been problems. I'm kind of interested by the cast. I think the cast might be better than the last one. I think the director is definitely going to be better than McG, Terminator Salvation. And it's opening over 4th of July, which is really a good, it's a good time for a movie like that. I mean, that's why they opened Terminator 3 there. Memorial Day should have been a good time for Terminator Salvation, but it just ended up being such a bad movie that, I think this was really going to, rely very much on the reviews. But I think there is a fan base for the character. I think there's a desire for people to get back to what they liked about the original movies. And this one definitely seems to be getting back there. So I'm going to go just below Phil. I'm going to say 155. I think it's going to do really well 4th of July because, what else is there? There's going to be the second week of Ted. It's going to be like the 4th or 5th week of Jurassic World, or 3rd. So I think 155 is a fair. I think it's probably going to do about 65 million over the first 5 days, or maybe even more, and then drop off after that.
I am the high bidder on Terminator Genysis.
Yes, you are.
God, I didn't see that coming.
I could have gone higher. I was thinking a little higher just because I think it's gonna, it opens on a Wednesday, and I think it's gonna do like 65 over the weekend. So it could do I could even be lower. I think it would do even more than 60 over the 5 days. So, but yeah, I think I don't know. I was gonna go higher, but I'm gonna go lower instead.
Shawn,
I can't believe I'm the lowest. That surprises me. I really thought Jamie or Phil. I thought one of you might. I thought you were going to outright say it was the bomb of the summer. That was kind of my expectation.
I think
I know what the bomb of the summer.
I think Jamie already said that.
Oh, well, okay.
There'll always be an audience for Terminator. I just don't think it's as relative to what it costs to make them. I just don't think it's enough.
Salvation also had the Christian Bale thing, the whole thing on set too, which may have soured people onto it already. So no.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think Salvation had a great marketing campaign for what it was. I mean, those trailers convinced me, and then, even then, it opened below expectations. Maybe partly because of
the marketing was great, but then the reviews came out. I think the reviews killed it.
Right, and as I said before, as also Star Trek stole its thunder.
I think maybe that'll happen. But yeah, Star Trek definitely stole its thunder. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong because I want to see the franchise rebuild, but. The rule of if it's not James Cameron, just don't bother with it has treated me well up to this point. So I might be completely wrong, and I want to be because I like the director. I mean, Thor notwithstanding, I don't completely blame that on him. The second Thor, and I like most of the cast. I just don't feel like the franchise is ready. Maybe not ready, but I just don't think people are going to be interested. And I think Arnold's reputation is hurt still to this point. I just don't see, even though he's going back to the character that he's most well known for.
That's a fact. That's a fact of the Schwarzenegger factor. Because I agree with you. I think that Schwarzenegger, his last movies have done so poorly. But I don't know. Maybe I think we turn to his character. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's not going to be as big a role as we think. I don't know. But I think
they've downplayed. Well, Ed, that's a good point. They've downplayed him in the marketing so far.
Not WrestleMania. They did a huge push during WrestleMania, and they had him there. He won a. They had a big push the last weekend.
I'm talking about the trailers though, where most
saying the latest TV spot and trailer has more of him, has him saying "I'll be back." The whole thing that people love. So I think he just to be in a movie that people want to see, and that's the case with this one. Whereas the other ones are just like, who cares?
Yeah, that could be true.
We'll see.
We will. Let's move on. July 10th brings us the Minions movie, or just Minions. We love them Minions, but what kind of box office does that translate to, Jamie?
Okay, so it's not a part 3, but it's going to perform like a part 3 in my opinion. I mean, it's a spin-off movie because they are actually making they are making Despicable Me 3. And the rule of thumb we've sort of seen, it's not official. What usually happens is like the first movie comes out, it does great business, solid business. It builds on an audience through home video, through repeat viewing, through word of mouth, through reviews and all that stuff. So it has a solid theatrical run. Big hit, blockbuster, whatever. Second movie explodes. That's the phenomenon. That's the juggernaut. That's the zeitgeist movie. And then the third movie is the one where it does more than it does in the middle. Doesn't get anywhere near the second movie because you can't realistically, but it still does way more than the first one. And there's a lot of examples of this. Pirates of the Caribbean, the Pirates of the Caribbean, the Nolan Batman trilogy, Rambo, lots of examples. Even though it's not a third movie, I think that's what's going to happen with Minions, just by sheer virtue of I think those characters have kind of they peaked. I mean, I'm not saying people didn't like Despicable Me 2, though. They clearly loved it. It had great word of mouth. It had great legs, but fads come and go, man. And this is not. I'm going to stop rambling here. I'm going to say 280. I think, as I was saying earlier, I think it's going to be back and forth between that and Inside Out. And I think Inside Out, the fact that it's unique, it's different, it's Pixar brand, and the fact that we've now had 2 movies with the Minions, this is now the 3rd movie, I think that's what will give the Pixar movie the advantage. And I'm going to say 280 for Minions. I don't think this one's going to do $300 million. If you remember, 2 summers ago, I was one of the only people who said Despicable Me 2 was going to be a huge fucking hit, and I predicted 350, and nobody else did. And I'm going to be the one to say this one's not going to do as well. It's going to get over-predicted, actually. People are going to go way too high on it. So I'm going to say 280.
You're the only person I know who could compare the Minions movie to Rambo 3. That's genius. I love that. That's great. I mean, I agree too with what you're saying. It's just a question of what is the number. I've got it at 248. And I was literally, I admit, I just threw a number at a board.
But that makes it less than the first one, which could happen. I mean,
it's a prequel too.
5. Yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah.
I just don't get it. I mean, I like some of what I see. I like the idea of the bad guy expo thing. That looks like fun, even though I think I've just seen all the jokes in the last trailer. And also, I'm really, really confused by that last trailer, because the latest trailer needs you to know that Sandra Bullock is in this movie. Do we care?
No,
really?
I disagree. It does not. These movies are sold for kids. They don't care about who's voicing the characters.
It's so weird. Sandra Bullock is Scarlet Overkill.
I never understood why they make a big deal about hiring big name actors for these voiceover roles. It doesn't fucking matter. Pixar's completely right. They just hire the fucking right actors for the role and they don't harp on it. But like DreamWorks and Illumination Studios and all them, they make a big to-do about it. It's like, who cares? No one's going to go for that. They're going to go for if it looks funny. And especially if you have a small kid, you want your kid to shut up for 2 hours. That's why you're going, okay? I have no kids and I know this. So why don't studios know this?
Well, I don't want to. We should just point out, because I'm sure someone in the chat board would, that the latest trailer for Inside Out, the last trailer, it shows the cast list. It actually shows the actors next to their character.
That might be a first. I don't know if Pixar's ever done that before.
Which goes to the point of Ed saying that they're treating it more as an adult movie. But for this, doesn't make any sense. It's a kids movie. But yeah, I got it at 248. I feel comfortable with that. We love their Minions. Edward.
I'm going to go. I definitely think it's going to be lower than Despicable Me 2. But, I mean, the reason people see those movies were because of the Minions. It's not because of Steve Carell. No one gives a shit Steve Carell is playing Gru in that movie. So, I mean, the people love the Minions. And this is a kind of origin story for the Minions. And, again, I think it'll do well because of that. But I think I'm also looking at Penguins of Madagascar, which was the same kind of thing in the sense of Madagascar. It was a spin-off. You look at Puss in Boots, was a spin-off of Shrek. And by the way, Shrek 3, if I remember right, did better than Shrek 1. I think it was Shrek 2 was the highest, and it dropped for Shrek 3, or Shrek the Third. This is kind of, I mean, I think this is one of the things that it's a smart move focusing on the Minions. Originally it was going to come out over the holidays, like December. They moved it to the summer. It's opening in a really good weekend after 4th of July. And as far as I know, there's not really much kid-friendly stuff after that. I mean, there's Pixels, there's there's stuff which kids will like, but not something specifically for younger kids. So I'm going to go 270, which I think is lower than, I think it's the lowest one. I don't know. It's in the middle of the two of you.
It is.
So I'll go 270. I think it'll do really well opening weekend, and kind of do okay because people love the Minions and they'll take their little kids to see it. But it's not going to do as well. It's not going to do over 300 for sure.
You're running out of space here, Sean. I wonder what you're going to say.
You know what? I kind of disagree. I think it's going to play more like a fourth movie than a third movie, just because of the fact that it is a spinoff.
That's bad.
And I wouldn't say bad, but I mean spinoff plus prequel. I do like I think the fact that they have the big names and they're pushing them. I actually think that's a positive because they need that because Steve Carell was a major factor with the first two. But yeah, I think it'll still be a pretty decent sized hit. I think the half-life of the Minions is still good. You know, it hasn't faded yet, but I'm going more. God, I was originally going to say like 220, but since I don't have to go that low, I'll say 243.
No, I mean, the only thing I was going to say is I could see it move up. I mean, like we say, it's July 10th. I mean, the second one came out during 4th of July weekend, and some people sort of scoffed at such a notion, but it dominated. And I'm like, I could see them do that again. I could see them completely
why would they scoff? The Ice Age, the third Ice Age movie did fine over. I don't know. The 4th of July is a good time for a family movie.
I know. I'm just telling you. But I mean, there was such people were not paying attention to that movie. Dude, it was so weird how few people were putting it into their on their radar. I was like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah. No, I play Hollywood Stock Exchange. I think they even have Minions fairly low, and I'm kind of surprised how low it is, considering how well, the Despicable Me.
I could see them. I could see Universal say, "Fuck it, we're going 4th," and just completely put the paint on Terminator. Yeah. I could.
And then Sean's outrageous prediction might be true.
Sean's prediction is not that outrageous for Terminator, by the way. I'm just
threw me for a loop. I mean,
yeah. Well, I don't know.
People are going to expect it to open with 90, not close with it.
I think 90 is high. I mean, but the thing is, it is a 5-day open weekend, so 5-day 5-day holiday for some people.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm really predicating most of that just on the fact that I don't think it's going to open that well, even if it has good word of mouth, which I don't know. I don't expect it, but I really just don't know.
Oh crap, I just realised it's my turn. Yay. July 17th brings us Marvel's Ant-Man.
Oh my god.
Unless they move it again. But they won't. But I will say that the big thing that I've had about this movie since they announced that they were releasing it in July of this year and completely threw us all for a loop was... what if another Marvel Studios movie had come out in summer 2012 after Avengers was the monster phenomenon that it was, and people were really, really hungry for more Marvel and really had an appetite for it, and they had to wait a whole nother year for the next movie, Iron Man 3. But what if, just a couple of months later, there'd been another Marvel Studios movie? Who knows how well it could have done? And that's kind of my thinking going into Ant-Man. I'm thinking, as we all are, that Avengers Age of Ultron is going to be a big success, but I also think more than that, Avengers Age of Ultron is going to be a really great movie that does really well and people really love it, and I think Marvel's still going to be on that streak myself. So I really think a lot of that is going to play an impact and help out Ant-Man. We're kind of in the dark because all we've seen is one trailer, which has no special effects done yet. It was quite clear. They had one of him riding an ant, and that was it. Apart from that, it was a really, really boring, terrible trailer, actually. But I just can't bring myself to be down on the Marvel movies. I can't go into this one's going to be Marvel's lowest grosser yet. We've tried that argument before, and eventually, of course, it'll happen with one of their original properties, and then the person who makes that bid can say, "See, I told you so." Well, if you keep saying it every time, it doesn't really count. You said it for Guardians, and it didn't work. I'm not going to say it for Ant-Man. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm probably wrong. I've got it at $199. I have faith, and that's all I can say. I have faith, and a lot of it is to do with the fact that I have no faith in the movies that are coming out the week after it. None whatsoever. Anyway, I'm going to say 199. Ed.
But you have faith in it, but not enough to say 200.
No, I'm going to be really cheeky on that. Yes.
I know that was really cheeky. You know, it's funny. I feel like I feel like Ant-Man is going to be one of the movies. I mean, again, we all felt this about Guardians also, and it ended up like absolutely killing. But I think Ant-Man is not Guardians. I think it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's as fun. I think it has Paul Rudd in it, which is like, you know, not box office poison, but it's just not very good. I don't know. I just don't think they could sell a movie with Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas. I mean, Marvel has sold a lot of weird casts before, but this is a tough one for them. I think the character is not great, and I think I was more excited about this when Edgar Wright was directing it, because I thought it'd be a really, really fun movie. This director doing this one, I don't know. I'm really very nervous about this movie. I don't think it's going to like get an Avengers boost, even if they throw Ant-Man at the end. I don't think people are as excited for Ant-Man. I think people have already, they release a trailer and they're like, oh, Ant-Man, but then a week later they've forgotten about it. I'm going to go like 148, which is still damn good for a, but it's not. It's going to be I think it's going to be the lowest grossing Marvel movie to date. I think it's going to like open okay, but it's not going to fare well in the long run. I think it's not going to be as good a movie as the other ones too. So I'm saying 148.
Okie dokie. Shawn?
I completely agree. I'm really worried about it. I want them to come out of nowhere and surprise us, but I'm such a huge fan of Edgar Wright, and I was so bummed when whatever happened. I still don't completely understand, or at least, know all the facts, but I'm gonna go even lower. I think this falls under The Incredible Hulk. I think it opens decently just because of the Marvel name, and depending on how Avengers goes, I mean, that could, if Ultron does disappoint people, maybe that has a little bit of a negative effect here, but I think overall people will still want to see what Marvel has next. So, yeah, I'll say, I think Hulk did 135, so yeah. I'll say 130.
Jamie, we don't need to hear what you say.
$5 million.
Go ahead, sir.
125. No, I mean, I was aiming towards that number anyway. I mean, because I mean, it's weird. It's just like Ant-Man. They make a joke about it in the trailer, and I don't think the footage actually I think looks perfectly fine. But again, you kind of go, well, you're really, really hoping that you can that Marvel brand name's going to carry you this time. I don't know. It's just weird. This is the whole situation weird. I mean, this happens a lot. Like, directors work on projects, they anchor them, and then they fall out, and then they just bring on other people to take over. It's so high profile, and because it's Edgar Wright, who the internet has such a fucking hard on for. And granted, guy's a great filmmaker, he's incredibly talented, but he's not like, he hasn't really reached the mainstream yet. He hasn't had that big moment. And I keep thinking that Edgar Wright's going to have that moment, like Sam Raimi did with Spider-Man.
Yeah, if he did Ant-Man, it would have been his big moment, but he didn't.
Yeah,
so
it
could have
been.
Yeah, and it just didn't happen.
I mean, like Furious 7 is also James Wan's big moment. He can do anything he wants now, and it's just like Guardians with James Gunn. So
yeah. So it's like, but half of the internet, most of the internet is predisposed to hate this because it's not Edgar Wright.
Oh, sure.
So there's that issue.
I think it's a problem movie. I think it's a problem. Sorry to cut in, but I think it's a problem movie anyway, and that's why Edgar Wright left. And I think that's I think he knew the writing was on the wall, and I think Peyton Reed can't save it.
No, I mean, my only hope is it does enough money, and I hope it doesn't hurt Peyton Reed too much. But people realize. So 125. I mean, again, it doesn't look bad, but you just gotta go, well, why do I care? And yeah, Paul Rudd. I mean, funny actor, but he doesn't sell things. You make him a supporting player. You don't make him a lead. And they've tried many times to make him a lead, and it hasn't really worked.
No, I agree.
So, I'm sure he's a nice guy, though.
Shawn.
I was going to say, the one thing I do like about that first teaser was the jab at themselves. Is it too late to change the name? If there's a lot of that in the movie, it could turn out surprisingly better than I think we expect. But and I don't want to trash it before we see it. But yeah, like you've all pretty much pointed out, it looks like a problem movie. It's taken this long, and for whatever reason, right, left, whether he was fired or he decided to go himself. I mean, I guess we just need a miracle, because I don't want it to fail. I think the potential is there, but we'll see.
I don't disagree with any of the comments that you guys have made. In fact, I've been thinking a lot about a statement that a friend of ours, I won't mention his name in light of what we're about to say, but he actually went on a set visit to Ant-Man, and we asked him point blank, so is this a one-off? And he said, yeah, it's a one-off. There won't be Ant-Man 2. There won't be anything. You'd be lucky to see this character again show up in anything more of this universe. It's just the movie that for some reason they feel compelled to make. And that's the thing that's been most fascinating about it. You know, you could have pulled the plug on it. We wouldn't have held it against you at all.
I'm surprised they never did. I'm stunned they did. They didn't pull the plug.
Maybe it's a growing pain they need to go through. Maybe they just feel like, we can't have a Pixar movie that like Newt that we just pull the plug on. We're Marvel. We make it. We said we were going to make Ant-Man. We're going to do it. And a lot of it is based on, again, just pure faith. I can't base it on the trailer. The trailer was garbage. But I'm thinking about the concept. Okay, it's about a guy who can turn small. There's huge potential there for action set pieces that could be really, really fun and really, really cool. We don't know how well the action's going to be shot. That's going to count for a lot in a movie like this. I can see clearly, that there's a relationship here between a father and his daughter, which seems interesting to me because we haven't really seen that before in one of these kind of movies. Could be the death of it, but it could also be very interesting. It's a way to go. And Michael Douglas could be this amazing, cool character that we really gravitate to, and could be the glue that holds it together. I don't know. It's a lot of questions, but again, it's all faith. What else can I do? I'm just a slavish Marvel fanboy, aren't I? Shawn, don't ever try and lowball Jamie on a Marvel movie. You will lose every time. Okay. July 24th brings us Pan. I think this is going to be a rather ugly round. I don't know. Ed?
Well, if I were Phil, I'd probably say, fuck me. No, I'm just kidding. Get out there.
That's a great impression of me.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, okay, I went to this set, Pan, and I actually thought it looked a lot better than when I first saw the trailer. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm a Peter Pan fan. I definitely like the character. I like the story. I think this looks amazing, like, visually. I think it's going to be a stunning movie. And I like Hugh Jackman. I think Hugh Jackman is oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Jamie mentioned he gave me the script, and he did. I never actually read it, but I did read a little bit of it. But I think Hugh Jackman is, Chappie aside, I think he's a good actor who people like, and I think he's I don't know, I think it's a decent cast. I just don't think it's going to do that great. I think it's going to open maybe close to 30, but no higher, and I think it's going to drop off pretty quickly. I'm going to say 73 million. Again, I wish I had more confidence in the movie, just because I like, what I saw, but I don't have much confidence in it. So,
Shawn.
Yeah, I don't have much confidence either. I have 50 written down here. I'm actually going to say this moves. I don't think it's going to keep that date.
Bastard! God fucking damn it! God fuck!
Wait, but you can both say the same thing, right? Can't you both say it?
No, we can't. It's not
What?
fair.
Can. I mean, you both thought it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't see why you can't.
Yeah.
I'll think about that.
the only thing I'll say about
I was just going to make you all drop the mic when I said it. God fucking damn it. It's alright, I'm just...
Well, I think Shawn, have you actually said it? Are you saying it's moving?
Yeah. I'm saying it's moving.
Shawn.
Maybe
I'll
we
say
should predict where it's moving to, and then whoever gets the months right.
I didn't put much thought into that yet. Probably next year. I don't know.
Wow.
Well, maybe the fall, but I just get that Jupiter ascending kind of vibe from it, which was also from Warner Brothers. But I mean, maybe there's something to it because like Ed pointed out, I really like Hugh Jackman. I think this could be a good movie for him. I just think there's another movie we'll talk about after this that there's enough buzz growing for that Warner Brothers is gonna see the light and just not even try.
Jamie,
60, bomb of the summer, no question. Even with the Terminator Genysis stuff we've been talking about, like, this is the bomb of the summer. Movie looks great, and I can't say, but they should put it during the fall, during Christmas, because the last Peter Pan movie came out during Christmas. Lord of the Rings Return of the King opened against it. It destroyed it. Not only did Lord of the Rings destroy that Peter Pan movie, which was very good, by the way. It was well reviewed. Something's Got to Give killed it. Cheaper by the Dozen killed it. So there just wasn't an audience for a Peter Pan movie during the holidays. And, that was a faithful adaptation of the story. This is the true story behind the legend, a reimagining. Well, they're going a new version. Again, looks good, but bomb. Easily. Huge bomb.
I can't come up with a number on this one. I do feel utterly confident that it is going to move too. But I'll go a little more specific on this one. I'm not going to make it a rule, so don't worry. If we both get it right, we'll both get 2 points each. But I'm going to say it moves to February.
Wait, I don't know about that. I don't know about that rule. I don't like that rule. I think if two people say it moves, it only gets 1 point each. I don't know if that's 2 point each if everyone says it moves.
Okay, we can debate that when it happens, or if it happens. Okay. But I'm only going to make this claim once on this show. That's why I invented the rule, because I'm so convinced that Pan is going to move to February. Just like Jack the Giant Slayer. That's what I see here. This is the next Jack the Giant Slayer. Only hopefully a better movie. And I think it will be a better movie. I think it'll be a great movie, actually, that I'll enjoy very much.
Droid's a good director.
He's a great director. Yeah. I love his stuff.
So is Bryan Singer, supposedly, so I don't know.
Everyone's allowed to shit the bed. I just don't think this is Mr. Wright's time to do that, not with this movie. But it just feels like the movie nobody asked for, and certainly not at this time. And yeah, that's all it is. And I have nothing else to say about it. It's so weird. It's a movie that I obviously can't wait to see because I think it's going to be fantastic, but nothing's blowing my skirts, to coin a phrase. There's nothing that's actually getting me excited about it right now. It might have something to do with the fact that, I'm not the biggest fan of Garrett Hedlund, so anything that he's in doesn't necessarily enthuse me. And I'd rather see Hugh Jackman do other things than Blackbeard the Pirate, personally. And also, you're at this point. I'm amazed Wright even took the project on, because you've got to approach it with the idea of, okay, visually, what can I bring to a Peter Pan story? When we've had the PJ Hogan one, which was fantastic. When we've had Hook, which looked crap, but still, there it is. What can I bring to a Peter Pan story, just visually, never mind from the story perspective? And I don't know, there's certain shots in it that do look gorgeous, like at the Indian camp and stuff. And Rooney Mara as Tiger Lily, that is an interesting choice. I'm intrigued about that specifically. But that's about it. Yeah, I think it's going to move, and I think I'll be quite content to wait too, because I'm just not that excited about it. It's weird. Ed?
Yeah, I just want to say, yeah, it could probably move. The thing is, first of all, if it moves, now we have two people who are getting zero. If it doesn't move, I say, two people getting zero chance of getting anything at this point if it doesn't move. But it does make more sense to release it next March, because that's where these movies have done well. Jack the Giant Slayer only made $67 million in that weekend, and next March is already pretty crowded. They already have a kids movie, at least 2 of the weekends, and they have Batman versus. March is going to be hard to get it out. February. Maybe they can do like a President's Day weekend thing. I don't know what's opening then, but I don't know. I think they're going to keep it on July. I'm not sure how expensive the movie is, but Joe Wright is a very visual director. I think they're going to. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in this movie that they're going to see. Because it doesn't open until July, so we have some time to, see a better trailer in front of other things. So I don't know. I'm confident it's still going to come out. Even though it would make sense to move it. And so it's basically between me and Jamie at this point.
July 24th also brings us Pixels. It'll be number 1 that weekend, no shit. But what does that really mean, Shawn?
Well, I know I'm not going to be the only one who's pretty optimistic about this, but I think nostalgia has finally hit a point where it's a box office draw. For a long time it wasn't. And with Lego and Wreck-It Ralph and Turtles, we've kind of seen that. I think Sandler's due. I think this will be his first $200 million movie.
Yep.
I think it's going to do pretty well, and that's one reason I think Pan will move. Just not going back for too long, but another reason I think it's going to move is because Paper Towns coming out that weekend is already getting pretty decent buzz, and it's from the same author that wrote Fault in Our Stars, so that'll be out there too. Totally different audience, though. I don't think it'll affect Pixels. But yeah, it's got that late July slot to where it can play through August, even though there's still one or two movies that it'll compete with. But yeah, the trailer hooked me, and I think it's going to be a pretty big hit with kids and parents, because we're just at that right age where people my age, and I guess most of our age, have kids that are going to be interested in that. Sandler's family appeal is still there when he has the right movie. So I'm afraid to go too high. I don't quite see a Transformers-like breakout, but it does remind me of that a little bit. So I'm gonna say 220. No, I'll say 230.
That's still pretty huge.
Jamie's been wanting to do this little speech of his for a long time. He's been talking my ear off about this movie for a year at least, so now he finally gets to bid on it. Go ahead, sir.
For 4 years. I mean, it's just like, I saw the short film back when we were running another site, and Sony at the time bought the option. I thought, oh shit, this could be handled so well. It takes a lot to fuck this up. It's got such a Ghostbusters vibe to it, man. And Sony moving it to July, giving it that Warner Brothers Dark Knight slot, that said a lot. I love the critic. It just shows how like half-assed like the internet really thinks it's such a sheep herd mentality, because everyone's bitching like, oh, it looks like every other Adam Sandler movie. It's like, no, it really doesn't. I've never seen a $200 million Adam Sandler movie, okay? Oh, because Kevin James is in it. Like, oh yeah, that fucking makes it just like every other Adam Sandler movie. Let me tell you. Okay, get the fuck out of here with that crap. Yeah, I think this is going to do huge. Shawn, you said 230. I was actually going to say 210. So I'm still lowballing you. But yeah, huge hit. This is one of the big hits of the summer. Easily. I think this is going to be one of the most popular of the summer, and you'll get a lot of revisionism. A lot of revisionist history. The same assholes who went around claiming, oh, it looks like crap, are going to now say, oh, they loved it, and it looked awesome from the start. You don't hire a guy like Chris Columbus just to fucking do a typical Adam Sandler comedy. Alright? Just saying. Like, even if you don't like his movies, like, that guy's expensive. You're bringing him to the table for a reason.
It looks crap! It looks utter dog shit. That's my problem with it. I just can't reconcile that. I see that trailer, and yes, it's just a teaser trailer. It's taken them long enough to release it, but they finally did. And I love the special effects. I love the Donkey Kong especially. I think he's like the most magnetizing image I've seen of all the summer movies. It's a really, really cool effect that they've done on him. And they have a lot of sequences like that. I suppose it could be fun, but my problem is, it seems like this movie has one joke. They're going to encounter a video game character, he's going to be mean, and he's going to attack them, and they're going to comment on it. Oh, it's Pac-Man, and he just ate my arm off. Oh, it's Donkey Kong, and he's throwing barrels at me. That end joke about the creator of Pac-Man getting his arm bitten off, it takes so long to get to the joke we already know is coming. I just think they've got I agree with you in the Ghostbusters comparison, but I really feel like this is the kind of movie you would get if on Ghostbusters the special effects did overtake the comedy and did overtake the story and did overtake the characters. You would end up with something pretty bad. I mean, I agree that it's probably going to do alright, but simply because there's not much else competition really but no, I ain't going as high as you. I've got it as 135. I'm not a believer in it whatsoever, and I've been a fan of Chris Columbus's stuff in the past, but his last couple of movies have been pure garbage. He's not on a hot streak right now. Hopefully he's a good fit for the material, but based on what I've seen, no, I don't buy it whatsoever, I'm afraid. 135. Ed?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm kind of in the same boat as Phil on this one, which is very rarely happens these days. But no, it's funny. I was really
Love you too.
Yeah, I was really excited about that. I was kind of like when I remember hearing about the concept, I was like, oh, video games coming to Earth as aliens, big huge effects thing, and Adam Sandler and Kevin James, and then it was like, no one likes Adam Sandler anymore. I mean, come on, no one. I mean, critics are going to trash this movie. I don't think critics are going to like this movie because I personally liked Men, Women, Children, and no critic was going to give it a good review because Adam Sandler was in it. Blended was pretty bad, but it wasn't as bad as people said. The Cobbler was pretty bad. It wasn't as bad as people said, but they all had Sandler, and people don't like Sandler. I mean, Sony even aren't even backing Sandler. They're letting Netflix have him because So and I saw the trailer, and it just seemed like Sandler and James doing the exact same things as before. It didn't live up to the look of that picture they showed us, which looked like Ghostbusters. It looks like a ripoff of Ghostbusters, and I think it's a cool concept. I think it'll get some of the younger audience in there, the kids and stuff like that. But I'm actually going to go lower than Phil. I'm going to say 130. I think it's going to do like 45 million opening weekend, and then kind of just taper away because I think there's other things coming out after that, like Fantastic Four. Opening against Pan too, so I think if Pan gets any of the kids, it's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be splitting audiences, the Pan and Pixels. I think Pixels will be mainly male too, but I'm gonna say 130. I think Sandler's gonna be lucky to get another hit, after some of the movies he's made, and that's what I'm saying with.
Well, what's gonna happen is like Grown Ups 3 will happen a lot sooner. I'm not
yeah,
kidding.
It'll be the Netflix movie. Grown Ups 3.
Oh no, that'll make a lot of money.
$20 million.
I was expecting much more of a fight on that one. Oh, hey ho, moving on. Okay.
Me and Ed are going to fight over real shit, not about like Adam Sandler. Like we have important shit to fight about.
Peace in the Mideast. Like I don't want peace in the Mideast no matter what. So
exactly.
It'll be a really boring place if we have peace in the Mideast. So no peace in the Mideast. That's a joke.
Don't know how I can segues for that, but all right, I'll give it a go. The big shock last minute entry into the summer movie season next.
Yes.
Hoping for some of that Guardians of the Galaxy cash, clearly, because it's opening in the same slot this year rather than anywhere near Star Wars like it was originally going to be. It's Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. We just found out it's called that just a week ago on July 31st. Jamie, light the fuse.
Okay. I'm going to say 145. I think it's. Why do you think I'm going to go higher? None of the footage. This footage doesn't really. I mean, there's the money shot of him on the plane, which looks spectacular, by the way. It does, and I'm sure it's going to look amazing on an IMAX screen. That's kind of it, though. We're at now Part 5 stage, and granted, there is some of that attitude of, what did people think of the last sequels? And Ghost Protocol was a big hit. It was very popular. And, and I think a lot of the reason why Ghost Protocol did well in retrospect was because people rediscovered 3. They wouldn't go see it theatrically, but they saw it on home video and said, oh shit, this is actually really good. And 3 happens to be the best one, in my opinion. But, I don't know, we're at Part 5 now, and yeah, it was smart to get away from the Star Wars juggernaut, and I still think they should have done the January thing, not because I suggested it, just because it makes sense more. Because summer, it's just, I don't know, Mission Impossible, it doesn't have the same. It's weird that we're talking about a franchise that's still viable that started in the mid '90s. It'll be it'll be 19 years since the first Mission Impossible came out by the time the 5th one opens. That's just so fucked up that we're like, I mean, in a cool way. That's actually really cool because I remember when the first one came out. But I'm just gonna say 145. I don't think it's gonna have like a huge surge because the Ghost Protocol was very well liked, which it was. It just doesn't look that interesting to me, man.
No, I understand. I mean, we're in an interesting situation, Jamie and me, because a couple of weeks ago, obviously, we had our buddy Matt Thompson on the show, and he talked about the draft of the script that he'd read by Drew Pearce specifically, and he said basically, it sucks, it blows. If this is what they're making, it's going to fight it out with Mission 2 as the least popular entry in the series. And
it looks like Mission 2.
It does a bit, doesn't it? Yeah. And what was interesting, though, is I saw the trailer, and I really enjoyed it. And then I went back to Matt on Twitter, and I said, "Is that what you read?" And he said, "Not quite. Some of it, yes, but some of it, no." Specifically, what wasn't in the script that he read was the villains, Syndicate. They weren't in that whatsoever. And that's what I like. I like the idea of an anti-IMF. I mean, look, they've done everything else at this point, and the idea in the trailer where they say, it's time to disavow the IMF, I just started laughing. It's like, we've been here every movie. Really? We're going to do this again? But, yeah, I like the idea of that. And what's really interesting is that they've clearly stopped going through the idea of having every mission film have a different style and feel. They're done with that. Now they found the tone that they're comfortable with, and they're just making straight sequels. 4 was a sequel to 3, and this is clearly a sequel to 4. The last scene of 4, because I'm a big geek about this, when Ethan walks off to take his next mission, and he listens in, and it says, "Good evening, Mr. Hunt," and it mentions Syndicate. So I feel like this one takes place right after the 4th one, and they're just going straight for it. I think it's going to be fun. I've got it as 185. A lot of that is faith from the last movie. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got it as 185. Not much else to add on that, really. Ed?
Well, I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'm not going. What did Jamie say again?
He said
45. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit lower. I think it's going to do well. I think there is a lot of goodwill from the last movie. I think people like Tom Cruise as the character. I think people left that movie wanting to see more, which, maybe it wasn't the case with Mission Impossible 2, which might have hurt MI3. But I think it's good. And I think the move to the summer was a good idea. I think it gives them a good, a good opening weekend, a good month of box office, and even possibly even into September. But I think I liked what I saw. I like Jack Reacher. I like Christopher McQuarrie. I think Christopher McQuarrie probably. It's funny because Mission Impossible came out first. Well, Bond came out first, and then Mission Impossible, which was kind of an answer to Bond,
right.
And then Bourne became an answer to Mission Impossible, and then kind of everyone went back and started copying Bourne, and it seems like now Mission Impossible is going back to copying Bond, and the good things about Bond, it looks like, again, Bond is doing Spectre, they're doing the Syndicate. They're kind of trying to do it, and I think they want to get out before Bond this year. So it was a smart move to get out before the Bond movie, for sure. So I'm going to say 175. I think it's going to have a decent opening, between 55 and 60. And then it's going to do okay over August, because I don't think there's a lot of movies that will take away from it. So that's it, 175.
Sean?
Yeah, I like the comparison with them trying to copy each other. I think the one thing that makes Mission Impossible stand out from the others is that it's ensemble based throughout all 4 movies, and they've really put more and more emphasis on that, I feel, with each one. Because with the first one, it was an ensemble, but it was still the Tom Cruise show, and pretty much the same deal with the second one. But then the third one, they kind of started moving away from that, and then Ghost Protocol really opened that up. And I think that's what's hot right now. I mean, Furious 7 as a great example. But I'm really looking forward to this. I'm probably going to overpredict it because I could see it landing around Jamie's 145. I mean, that's perfectly reasonable. But I also see a lot of goodwill there, and if it does turn out to be a good movie, it's got a pretty solid August to run through, because it's going to be an adult heavy movie, so it won't be as front loaded as a lot of other summer movies. But yeah, I'm gonna say 190 because that's originally what I had written down here. I think it could hit 200 again, but that just really comes down to, if it's as good as, or even close to as good as Ghost Protocol. And like you guys were talking about, I think McQuarrie can make a movie that good, because Jack Reacher was surprisingly
awesome.
really entertaining.
It really was.
It really was. So if he can pull that out, and if the script is better than what you guys have seen, then yeah, I'm going to say 190. I'm kind of confident.
I really feel like, and it's been mentioned in the chat there, you talk about comparisons, really what it's competing against right now is Fast and the Furious, in terms of the fact that it's, well, look, in the trailer, you've got a sequence where, you know, Ethan and Benji, they're driving a car backwards off a flight of stairs, and they're all like, is your seatbelt on? And stuff like, you can't really be doing that in the same year that Vin Diesel is driving a car between 3 skyscrapers. You know, you've got to try a little bit harder than that. But it feels like that, and also in terms of the fact that it's a family of characters kind of thing. Not so much with Mission, but it's about, you know, the gang getting back together. What's his name? Ving Rhames is back in this one, and again, I'm glad for him. He's been waiting by the phone long enough, and has actually given him proper hiring on this one. So I'm glad about that. And you know the whole idea that this could be our last mission. It's basically the same as this is our last ride. You know, that kind of thing. So I feel like it's really competing with that, but it's never going to be as popular as Fast and Furious. But, you know, if they've got enough good stunts like that plane sequence, then, yeah. I'm all in. I just want that kind of thing again, like in Ghost Protocol, where, you know, Tom Cruise steps out over the window and then the IMAX screen it just wipes away. Like the widescreen bars just disappear over the audience's head, and then as he steps out and the camera pans down and everyone just starts going as he's climbing out. That's such an amazing moment. I don't even know if they're even doing that. I don't know if they filmed with IMAX camera on this one.
I don't think they did.
They did? Oh my god.
That's weird.
Yeah, it surprised me.
You think Tom Cruise would insist on that, if nothing else. It's like, fuck it, am I hanging off a plane? I want it with the IMAX camera. But
that's probably more of a Brad Bird thing. I'm more of a, you know...
Yeah.
That's probably more of a Brad Bird thing than...
But Tom Cruise really runs the show. It's weird. It's like it's really the only franchise I can think of that is controlled by its star.
By the way, is J.J. Abrams still involved in the franchise?
No, I don't think so. I think Bad Robot's off this one.
Because he was on because they were still on the last one. They were still produced the last one. And J.J. Abrams is a big IMAX guy. That might be the thing right there.
Part 4 got made because of J.J. Abrams, so yeah.
No. He's J.J. Abrams he's completely a big IMAX guy. So.
Last round, guys. Last round. We end our box office spectacular with the August 7th release of Fant 4 Stick. I just hate it. I have to mock it. I don't know what else to do. They still insist on giving these movies these trendy titles, and it's just fucking ridiculous. What is wrong with the Fantastic Four? I thought that's what it was called.
Wait, isn't that what it's called?
No, it's called Fant 4 Stick.
What? What are you talking about?
It's good. You see it.
Are you joking? I don't know. I think you're joking.
No, I think it's called Fantastic Four again, but I don't think it's called The Fantastic Four. Certainly not called that on the trailer.
The logo, where it's like a 4 in it. So
I see. Fant 4 Stick. Oh, I get it. Okay. I was like, I didn't see the poster, so. Okay.
Finally, we're at an old people's home here. I don't get it. It's not funny. Anyway, I don't know, guys. I've got a fucking clue about this one, and I hate the fact that I have to go first. All I will say is that I'm intrigued as hell about it. I mean, it really feels like... It was so funny. I was thinking a lot about Ang Lee's Hulk recently, thinking about this movie. But what was interesting about Ang Lee's Hulk was that they sold it really well as an action movie. It wasn't until we actually sat down in the theatre that we realised that we'd been had, so to speak. But with this, it seems like they're being pretty upfront about what kind of movie it is, and it ain't like the other movies, and it ain't for children. It is, I'm not going to say dark, but it is definitely inappropriate. I mean, it feels, I don't know what it feels like, but it feels scary. Like when Trank's talking about it being a David Cronenberg kind of movie, it doesn't feel like a bullshit statement to me. It feels like he's really going there. And again, more than any other movie we're talking about this summer, we don't have much to go on We really don't at all. And we've heard some bad things about it, but I'm intrigued as hell to see it. And I feel like there's always going to be, again, just like Terminator, I always feel like there's going to be an audience, no matter how terrible or how much the audience is turned off for these kind of movies. So I've got it at 115. That's lower than Rise of the Silver Surfer, and I don't know how much the reaction to that last piece of shit is going to impact this movie. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be this big flop that other people are pegging it as, but I don't think it's going to launch the franchise again, really, at all. Maybe they'll crank another one out just to keep the rights, I haven't got a clue, but 115, that's where I'm going. Ed?
Yeah, I kind of disagree. I think that the Fantastic Four will be helped by the fact that Marvel has kind of, brought the superhero back and brought the Marvel characters back. I mean, obviously Marvel Comics don't want to have anything to do with this anymore because they've canceled the comic book without any sign of them having a comic book to go with it. But, I mean, to be honest, that's not even a big deal because the Avengers comics have nothing to do with the movies anymore anyway. But, I don't know, I think there's a name brand value to the Fantastic Four. I think kids especially will be interested in it, kind of like with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles last year. I personally like the characters. I think this movie will be better than the other two movies, which I didn't like at all. I'm pretty optimistic, and I think this August 7th release date is good because it'll get the tail end of the summer and not have a lot of competition afterwards. So I'm going to go a little high. I'm going to go 145. I think it will open with 55-60, which is I think about where the other ones opened, and it'll do fine. It just won't do. I mean, it'll do about as good as Ant-Man in my opinion. And I think it'll do enough overseas to warrant another movie. And maybe if it's good, hooray! Maybe it'll make an even better sequel. But yeah, I think it won't completely flop, and because it has a great weekend, and at least will make money that weekend. So,
Shawn.
So you said what, Ed? Sorry.
145.
145. Okay. Yeah, I really don't see it reviving the franchise either. I'm really interested in what Trank will do for it though, because I liked Chronicle. I think he is in the right genre, but yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. I keep thinking back to X-Men First Class, but that seemed, even with the god-awful marketing campaign it had, I still think it had more going for it heading into release. So yeah, this is a tough one. I'm gonna say 110. I could see it just opening soft and then having decent legs through August, but I would be surprised if it hits that 50 million opening weekend that the first two movies did, just because the superhero genre is so saturated at this point. They need a bigger hook, which they could still give. I mean, it's 4 months away, so that's a long time. And we, like you said, we've seen nothing, but I'm just going to err on the side of caution on this one.
Jamie, if you say 120, I swear it's my foot up your ass. What are you going to say?
Actually, my foot's go there first because I was going to say 115, you son of a bitch.
Fair enough then. I guess you got to go there.
Actually, no, but listening to Ed talk, I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to say 130. But I'm not that confident in it. I got to be honest. A lot of it's just the mystery that they're holding so much back. But I feel like if they were up front from the start, that the level of mystery intrigue would be gone, and we'd probably have a lot lower predictions. Because we're all kind of going off of there's so much that we still don't know about this movie.
But I like that. That's exciting.
That's exciting, sure. I'd friends who worked on it. So, I mean, I know a little bit about it.
We've heard some things about that we won't repeat, but...
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. It's just such an... I mean, I think Spencer said it best when we discussed the trailer a couple of weeks ago. It's like, you really, of all the movies to, of all the comic book properties to, reconceptualize and twist the icons and go dark with, you pick this one. Of all of them, you pick the Fantastic Four. You kind of picked the wrong one to do it. But I'm certainly... It really feels like it's a kind of a... It feels like a unique vision of one filmmaker that you wouldn't get from anybody else. I'm hoping that's the kind of result that we get. I like those comic book movies. I like it when we get an Ang Lee Hulk or a Bryan Singer Superman Returns. I want something different. we all pretend that we don't, that we all want something safe, and maybe that's true, maybe other people do, but not me. I like something different. So I'm glad that they're going in the direction that they are, and that, yeah, we haven't seen a thing of it yet, really. Yeah, I can't wait. Guess that's it then, folks. I thought we might have a couple more fights that we did this 3 hours.
We're pretty much in agreement this year. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, I don't think there was any drag-out fights this summer, so it'll be interesting seeing who completely gets it wrong.
We'll have to wait for the winter show, won't we, for that one? God, you got to be there, folks. The Star Wars prediction, the Spectre prediction. Oh man, gonna be crazy.
People are gonna overblow the opening of Star Wars so badly.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree. I know. It's like that mid-December releases. They never open that huge. It'll probably be the biggest opening in December, but it's like not. People who say it's gonna like do 151 something like that are gonna be insane.
No, it'll be the biggest opening in December, but like,
yeah, absolutely,
that's not
I agree.
saying much.
150 is that unreasonable?
What's that, Sean?
I just said I don't think 150 is that unreasonable. I mean, Return of the King opened on a Wednesday and it still had like a 70-something million weekend 12 years ago. I think Star Wars could change the game.
But Star Wars is getting a 3-day. I mean, so it's not gonna get like 150 in 3 days. I mean,
I don't know. I think it could. I mean, I don't think it'll break a record, but
hey, Phil, let's start recording the winter show now, and we'll have it all set.
I was gonna say, you really want to do this now?
Yeah, it's time. Let's do it now.
The new trailer's not even out yet.
It'll totally break the December record.
Yeah,
I'll agree, but I don't think it'll yeah.
Okay, folks, I'm going to give these guys a practice run now, but I'm going to let you go and get on with your lives. That's what I'm going to do. So, folks, we hope you had a good time. We know how much you love these shows. I hope we lived up to it with this year's predictions. I hope you don't think we're too crazy, and I hope you at least either agree or disagree with what we're going to say. I'll find out because I'm going to look at your predictions. I'm going to see who you agree with. Please take part. It's the best part of the show for me, that you take part, that you really get involved, and you really get competitive about it. I can't wait to announce your results in September and declare who the web winner is going to be. I absolutely cannot wait. In the meantime, thank you for your support. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the Netflix Daredevil special. Me and Spencer masturbating for 2 hours to this wonderful TV show. I mean, guys, you've seen the reviews. You've seen his review, lucky bastard. I'm just convulsing in my settee right now, waiting for this fucking thing to come out. And again, my only fear is that on the Friday, on April 10th, Netflix is going to crash, because we're all going to try and watch the bloody thing at the same time. I don't think Netflix service ever have crashed, but I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen to me. I'm really worried about it. But again, I'd just like to thank our contributors here, Mr. Jamie Williams, Mr. Edward Douglas, Mr. Shawn Robbins. Always a pleasure to have you. I'm always conscious of your time. Thank you so much for making this show what it is.
Oh, thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.
Yep.
And thank you, guys. We will see you in September. Peace out.